I'm going to drop you down real quick, Dan.
All right, sure.
Don't worry. It's coming to a place near you. The Qurans that are given out in our prison system to Muslim prisoners by Muslim chaplains, paid for by Saudi Arabia, are Qurans written to the Wahhabi tune. They're not just your everyday Quran. They're the Qurans that the Wahhabis want you to read, containing direct incitement. They've been given out with taxpayers' money in the prison system. Militias are forming. Next, you'll have militias of this kind with their own chaplains within the United States Armed Forces. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to have Wahhabi preachers in the US Armed Forces? You better get ready for it, unless you're going to take the James Madison view that there shouldn't be any chaplains in the US Armed Forces to begin with, or in the prison system. People want to pray, you can't stop them. But we cannot have state-subsidized prayer. We cannot have state-subsidized preachers or chaplains. Give it up, or give it to your deadliest enemy and pay for the rope that will choke you. This is very urgent business, ladies and gentlemen. I beseech you. Resist it while you still can, and before the right to complain is taken away from you, which will be the next thing. You will be told you can't complain because you're Islamophobic. The term is already being introduced into the culture as if it was an accusation of race hatred, for example, or bigotry, whereas it's only the objection to the preachings of a very extreme and absolutist religion. Watch out for these symptoms. They are not just symptoms of surrender, very often ecumenically offered to you by men of God in other robes, Christian and Jewish and smarmy ecumenical. These are the ones who will hold open the gates for the barbarians. The barbarians never take a city till someone holds the gates open for them. And it's your own preachers who will do it for you, and your own multicultural authorities who will do it for you. Resist it while you can. And if you wonder what will happen if you don't, look and see how a cricket team in Middlesex in England had to change its name by force last week, because it was called, and had been for years, the Middlesex Crusaders. Look and see how stories about little pigs can't be taught to children in English schools anymore, lest offense be taken by the religion of peace. Resist it while you can.
Christopher Hitchens knew. Christopher Hitchens knew what so many people forgot. He knew he was. It's almost insane to believe that Christopher Hitchens, when he said that in 2007, seemed to be offering a word of prophecy. Because as of this point, you can't resist in the UK from saying anything about anyone who is considered a historically marginalized group, and Islam is one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to Apostate Radio episode 22. I am your host, as always, Isaiah Carter, coming to you from uptown boogie down Bronx. And my dog to the left of to the right on your screen.
It's your boy.
Yes.
He's back at it.
CT's finest.
The sage of the tri-state.
Exactly. The sword and the
sage.
sage.
Connecticut.
That is us. That is us. The land of a Pete's, the sword and the sage.
Ooh,
we are here tonight. Yes.
You got a t-shirt, bro.
We might have to. We might just have to. How was your, first off, before we say anything, happy 4th of July weekend. We're winding it down. Nose, how was your holiday weekend?
It was busy, man. I had what'd I do? Birthday party with family for my little niece Thursday, and then Friday I had a big 4th of July bash with my old friends in CT, and then I had my grandma came down from Costa Rica, and she's like 93.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
oh,
I should say.
Wow.
And I wasn't, I was really excited because I wasn't sure if I was going to see her again, because I wasn't sure next time I'm going to be in Costa Rica. Last time was I got married. So
Oh, wow.
That was a couple years ago. So yeah. So that was like a big thing, but it's a lot of socializing, a little bit of drinking every day. It takes its toll, man. I'm a little too old for that. And it's great. It was really nice weekend, bro. I hear you didn't get to party as much.
I got no partying in, none. I got to do some grilling.
There you go.
I got to do some grilling.
Chilling and grilling.
I went to Yonkers to check out the Ridge Hill Shopping Center. I did that because I hadn't been there in a long time. So I figured I'd check it out. I went to there's actually a supermarket there, and I got some stuff to grill with, and turned out pretty nice.
Nice.
Really, it turned out really good. Also trying to get like a menu together for Friday. Since Friday is the first of the big days. Well, the second of the big days. So tomorrow, I'm picking up the certificate, the marriage license. And then on the 11th, we're doing the ceremony, the legal ceremony, down at the courthouse here in the Bronx. Because you got to do that first. We live here. So, and then obviously that leads up to the 26th. So, just real quick, Marie Isabella, our great friend. Hey, love. Thank you for reposting this. Great to see you, dear. We're really happy that you're here tonight. She says happy 4th of July weekend. Yes,
USA,
we love you. Thank you.
USA,
yes, USA. The great. This I'm still trying to figure this whole camera thing out.
Back there.
Yes,
Hamilton, the founding brothers, all them back there.
Exactly. We love you too, Marie. We thank y'all so much for joining us. Dexter Spunky says croissant. And then Ernst, I know Ernst, this young brother, I just recently started following him. Stu Leonard, nah, man. Yo, I do not. Let me tell you, Stu Leonard, it's a country themed grocery store. Yeah, no. F that place, bro.
Why you got beef with Stu?
Because Stu Leonard is built like a goddamn corn maze. I got lost in that place.
No, it's fun for the kids though. And they got good deals. They got good deals on produce and stuff, and meat and cheeses. And they got the animals outside, man, for the kids. I used to love that.
I didn't see any when I went out there.
They usually have. I mean, at least one of the spots does. They have like a kind of outdoor barn with goats and sheep and.
I got you.
All that.
So. We have a special guest that I don't want to keep him waiting for too long. But I am really, really happy. Ern says it's too big. Yeah, hell yeah.
It is big. It is big as hell.
Hell yeah. I don't mess with Stu Leonard's, bro. I don't mess with Stu Leonard's. Whole Foods is bad enough, but Stu Leonard's is like I said, it built like a corn maze, man. Couple little bits of business as always. You can follow us individually at Isaiah L. Carter and also at Nostra Chavez. You can also follow I encourage you all to follow our show page, Apostate Radio NY. We post show updates. We talk a little shit. We do whatever there. You can follow us, and and of course, depending on how nice you are, we might follow you back. Maybe. You can support the show at buymeacoffee.com/apostate radio. We also have subscriptions available at $5 per month on my page at Isaiah L. Carter, and we'll be working on some other things as well. We've got also one other thing that I'm going to drop in the chat. Up until the 26th, I think I've been posting about it. We're 20 days away from my wedding. Kareen and I have been absolutely overwhelmed by just how generous and kind-hearted so many of you have been out there, and we're greatly appreciative. I will drop both the wedding fund and also the Amazon gift registry in the chat. But someone asked a question. Dexter Spunky asked, between you two, who would win in an arm wrestling match?
No, that's easy. I think 100% Isaiah. Isaiah's bigger than me, but I've also always been a pretty bad arm wrestler. Like I don't
really,
I don't think I have the muscle strength in that the area you need it in. And I'm not that I've ever been like a super strong person. I'm more of a striker. Let's put it that way.
I got you. Oh boy,
yeah,
I got you. I got you.
So I think it's Isaiah all day. If I had to bet.
Yeah, Dexter also says, congrats on the marriage. Thank you, brother. Well, I definitely appreciate it. Coming to the stage. To the stage is a man that we have come to and that we've come to admire. A gentleman who I've had the privilege of following. I remember he writes so eloquently about Islam. And about the dangers of this religion. And he writes so eloquently about it because he comes from Islam. Okay? We're talking about a man who holds a Master of Theological Studies and is the author of The God of My Grandmother. He's also working on a book on Islam, Israel, and the future of the West. We are talking about the co-founder and CEO of Project X, an organization which aims to challenge Islamic political, theological, and social narratives and restore moral clarity in the West. And God knows we need it. He is a former Muslim. He is now a Christian. He's led NGOs across the U.S. and the Middle East, and has also provided training and consultation in both religious and policy contexts. He was born in he is born in Jordan, and he spent 15 years in Lebanon before moving to the U.S., where he continues to work at the intersection of political theology and defending Western values. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you the man, the myth, the legend. Well, he ain't a myth, Mr. Dan Burmawi. Greetings, sir. How are you?
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so thankful that for the introduction. I don't deserve all the credit. I have to come clean to everyone. My first language, my native language is Arabic, and English is my second language. As a matter of fact, I began learning English when I was 18 years old. And thankfully, after the AI revolution, I was able to articulate my message, which I have been preaching in Arabic for the past 15 years to English audience. So I'm so thankful, and I don't deserve all the credit.
Well, we are grateful to have you, and I just want to say this. I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Al-an bikfi al-barnamaj jadani. Skran il li an di mama di mam.
Your Arabic is better than my English. That's great.
I would go that far.
But I didn't understand anything, but it's all right.
E for effort, Isaiah. E for effort, bro.
Oh my God. I am so serious. That's the first time I've ever tried to read Arabic. I do apologize.
Nobody's going to blame you. Arabic is the most difficult language, the second most difficult language in the world.
What's the first?
What's the first?
I believe it's Mandarin.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I've heard that too. So I wanted to get down. First off, we usually give all of our new guests a chance to introduce themselves to our audience. I would give you that opportunity, sir. The floor is yours. Please let everyone know who you are, what you do, and what is your message to us before we get started.
Yeah, thank you, Carter. So as you said, I was born in Jordan. I converted to Christianity when I was 18 years old. And for security reasons, and because you cannot practice Christianity, you cannot convert to Christianity if you're a Muslim in Jordan, I had to leave to Lebanon. I lived in Lebanon for 15 years, but during that time, I traveled heavily. I led a global organization in the Middle East, a Christian ministry, and I managed or oversee the work in 8 different countries in the Middle East. My understanding of Islam, its impact on the culture, and the history of the wars that Islam led gave me this understanding that what is happening in my region, what is happening in the Islamic world, is a direct result of Islamic theology. So I studied theology. I studied Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and that made me that actually emphasized my belief that Islam, it's not only not an Abrahamic faith, but
Mm,
it is a very dangerous ideology,
mm,
very dangerous. It has erased civilization and occupied my ancestors' land in Jordan. I don't know what they used to worship. Probably they were Christians or Jews. Who knows? But anyway, Islam was forced upon them like it was forced upon everybody else. Thankfully, after Islam made its way into Europe and occupied Spain, it was stopped. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Europe today.
mm,
However, Islam is having a second attempt at Europe now
mm.
through a different type of jihad. Um, Jihad is massicizing. Became da'wah and immigration, and we'll talk about this. So anyway, after moving to the United States 2 years ago, I had a plan to start a platform to comment on Islam and on the Middle East, but I wanted to pursue my career in the nonprofit sector. However, on October 7, and the response that we have witnessed in major Western cities, that changed the trajectory of my life. I realized that the danger and the threat is bigger than I thought. It was a moment of realization that I had to do something with the understanding I have, with the experience I have, growing up as a Muslim, my how I see Islam and its implication on the society. So that's when I started Project X. Probably will have a new name for the organization soon. We'll see about that. But anyway, my mission is simple: to challenge Islam, because I believe that Muslims are victims of this religion, and number 2, to educate the West about the threat of Islam. So that's in a nutshell. That's me.
Well, we are grateful that you are here, Danny. We're thankful that you decided to stop by.
Dan, I have a question. I think, like,
Go right ahead.
What made you decide that you wanted to leave the faith? And what age did you say that was again?
18,
18. And what made you decide
18,
that
19.
that
Yeah.
you wanted to leave Islam? Like, what was like? Maybe it was a process, but what was like kind of the final straw that you're like, you know what, I need to leave. I can't be a Muslim anymore. I might want to be a Christian or something else. But what was it? Do you think?
It was the realization that I was a slave. When you realize you're a slave,
Interesting.
and you see the freedom on the other side, you just take that leap. And I know that many people criticize me for saying this, but listen, if your God is weaponizing guilt every day, threatening you of punishment, of hellfire, of grave torture, if your relationship with God is based in fear, what does that make of you? It makes you a coward because you're afraid. It makes you violent you don't have the luxury of seeing the word as beautiful as it is.
Mm.
You have this cynical perception of the word. And I'm not making this up. I challenge everybody hearing me now. Go open any page in the Quran randomly, any page. I challenge you, and you will find the language of Allah threatening you or threatening the non believers or talking about some historical narratives where Allah destroyed nations or destroyed individuals. It's a very dark book and a very dark history.
Mm.
And when you are exposed to that since the beginning, since you are 3 years, 4 years old, you grow up with the stories about 86 battles Muhammad led or ordered in his lifetime. That makes you see the word in black and white. We versus them.
Mm.
And you don't even have the chance to develop your own perception because Islam has shielded Muslims. In the Quran, it says that if the Jews or the Christians are kind to you, don't believe them. They're trying to convert you.
Oh my
So
God.
even if you're kind to me, I have to doubt you. So growing up with that set of beliefs, and in 2006, when a Danish cartoonist drew the Prophet of Islam,
Mm.
and that sent waves of rage and protest across the Arab cities and Islamic world, I made the decision to dedicate my life to serve Islam and to defend the Prophet. And after a year of that devotion and dedication, where I went to the mosque 5 times a day, every single day for almost a year, read the Quran, read the Islamic history, I realized that Islam doesn't offer me any spiritual meaning, nothing at all. And of course, when I
Mm.
was exposed to the Bible and I saw that the Bible is concerned about the spirituality more than anything else, it's about your reconciliation with God,
Mm.
who you are, how to look at the world around you. The gap, the huge gap between Islam, which claimed that it is superior to Christianity, that gap was so astonishing that I decided to leave Islam. And I have to say this, and many people will doubt me. They would say, well, this is your own experience. It's not all Muslims. Well, you believe whatever you want, but I lived as a Muslim almost 20 years. I was dedicated to serve Islam. And there is something not many Muslims are courageous enough to admit.
Mm.
Islam is as heavy as a mountain on your shoulders. It is a burden. Every single Muslim knows what I'm talking about. It's
Mm.
a burden. It's very heavy. It's soul torturing. And there's a thin line between, and that line is paved with fear. But once you cross it over, there is liberty, there is a freedom. So when I speak about Islam, people sometimes think, oh, this is hateful, this is Islamophobic. No, please look at me as I don't claim to be Moses, but just look at me as Moses trying to liberate my people from
Mm.
slavery. Islam is a slavery. And yeah, go ahead. I'm
If
sorry.
no, you had me captivated. I was listening to everything that you were saying. I wanted to ask you this before we get before I miss. when you said that Islam is like slavery, where in the Quran does it mention that? And I'm asking this like I want to know, and this is going to go into our second question, about reliable versions of the Quran. Because here's the thing. We talked about this earlier this week. I want to know exactly where, I want to know exactly where you're coming from with this. You know what I'm saying? I've heard this many times about Islam, about how it is, about how it promotes mental and emotional slavery. I mean, going in to pray 5 times to stop what you're doing every day to pray 5 times a day.
It's not about that. It's not about praying 5 times or 50 times. I know Christians. I go to church. I was a missionary. I know Christians who pray 5 hours a day. Call them crazy. I don't care. But they are not slaves because they are choosing to do that. The problem with Islam is not only the rituals. It is the motivation behind doing the action itself.
Okay.
If you are afraid, if your motivation is based in fear or greed, because Islam is all about terrifying you with hellfire and promising you paradise, the Islamic brothel, where you will have virgins. And so it's like, what is your motivation? As a Christian, my motivation of worship is the beauty and the glory of God, his character, the realization that he is more beautiful than anything because he is the source of beauty.
Amen.
In Islam, your motivation is fear. It's not enjoyment and a pleasure. It's not because you are celebrating this God. Absolutely not. If a Muslim tells me that it's out of pleasure, I wouldn't believe, because I was not only a Muslim, I was part of the Da'wah group for a year. I did mission trips with other dedicated imams and sheikhs. I observed their life, how they speak about Islam. It's based in fear. So that's why when I say Islam is a slavery, in the Quran, you asked about the verse. It's in Quran 51 and verse 56. Allah says that I created jinn. It's the alien, the other creatures, and the humans to worship, only to worship. That is the sole purpose behind their creation.
You said
Now,
Quran 51 and verse
56.
56. Okay.
Surah Al-Dhariyat. Now, Muslims take pride in the fact that they are slaves of Allah. And they mock Christians for saying that God is our father. Because in the Islamic imagination, the concept of fatherhood is not possible, because God is transcendent. And when you say that God is a father, that is insulting to God.
Trivializes God.
Christianity, I want you to think of it this way. Judaism was iPhone 5. Then Christianity came and the revelation evolved, right? With Moses, the revelation was the Torah, a book. Then Jesus came and he was the peak of revelation, according to the Christian belief. Now, what Islam did is that introduced Nokia 3310 and claimed that it is superior to iPhone 15. So that's exactly what Islam did. Instead of asserting the idea that God is a father and at the same time he is holy, Islam drew an image of God that He is transcendent. And actually, when you scratch beneath the surface, even though Muslims claim that Islam is a pure monotheism, in practicality, it is not. Islam has two gods, Allah and Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you cannot convert to Islam by testifying that Allah is the only God. That is not enough. You have to testify that and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Without mentioning Muhammad, you cannot convert to Islam and you cannot be saved. Now, of course, this is not written, but when you practice the faith, when you practice it, when you pray, you have to mention Muhammad. Muhammad is the ultimate figure. He's the role model. He is the ultimate interpretation. Now, many people, especially in the West, because the attempt to sanitize Islam after 2001, while the attempts were essential and necessary because they wanted to avoid the backlash, because Islam was connected to terrorism. Now, what they have, did is this: they said, okay, the jihadists hijacked Islam and they are applying fringe interpretation. Listen, I don't care for that. I'll tell you why. Because there is no fringe interpretation in Islam. There is only one interpretation that is ultimate, that is superior to every other single interpretation. And that interpretation is Muhammad himself. It's not a book. You can find 1,000 books in Islam about the Quran and the meanings of the verses. Who cares about any of that when you have 23 years of Muhammad's life and actions and sayings recorded? And these records are sanctified and sacred, and you learn from them everything you need to know about God, yourself, and the other. So that's why jihad is part of Islam, and jihad to Islam is as essential as evangelism to Christianity. That's I'm gonna end there.
No, that's fine. Now, because we've got a lot of questions. People are in the comments asking a lot of questions. Aaron Wolstenholme, who I'm guessing is coming from somewhere over in Europe. He said he's just landed here at 1 a.m. He's all in for Hitchens talk since we mentioned him first. He asked a question. Hitchens, no, this is a statement. I just want to read it here. He says, Hitchens said that Islam is still in the heat of its self-confidence because of it being the youngest of the three monotheistic religions. So true. It's why they are so violent. He also asks, have you had any threats for becoming an apostate? And I guess that's you can answer this question first before the other question that I had. Like, have you had any threats on you for your stance against for your stance against Islam?
At the beginning, when I converted, I was seen as a stupid kid, a lost kid who doesn't know anything about what he's doing. So nobody paid attention. I was 18, 19 years old. Of course, some people, some relatives, they were not happy with what I was saying. I had to hide my conversion. It's like, long story short, not anything remarkable, like nothing that worth mentioning. However, with the process of time, yeah, things changed. I have had, I have received a lot of threats, death threats. I remember twice or three times where my life was in danger. Yeah, living in the Middle East and being a convert is not something you see every day. Converts have to hide or they have to leave. And I couldn't leave because I had this belief that I need to work in the Middle East, not from the US or from Europe. But after 15 years, and especially after my wife and I had a child, we made the decision that it's time we just leave.
So do you have just the one child now?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
2 years old. Yeah.
Oh, God bless. Oh,
Changes your priorities a bit.
yeah, just a bit, just a bit. And also, one other question from our audience. Thank you so much. By the way, guys, for those of you in the audience, thank you for all of our audiences. Thank you so much for your participation in asking these questions. This is fantastic. We are grateful to you guys. Please keep them coming. Please share the show on your own timelines. Pass it on to all of your friends. This is, once again, Apostate Radio episode 22. Thank y'all for joining us so far. Jordan Bolds, who is a friend of mine, and a friend of the show, he asks, why are depictions of Muhammad seen as very disrespectful, and where is the origin of that line of thinking? Like where does that come from?
I'm not sure I understand his question. Does he mean the depictions of Muhammad in the Islamic resources?
Yes, like I'll give. So you said 2000. You mentioned earlier that in 2006, a Dutch someone like a Dutch person, created a depiction of Muhammad.
Oh yeah, okay, I understand.
Was that was that, just out of curiosity, was that the Charlie Hebdo?
No.
Okay.
Charlie Hebdo was later in 2015, I believe. This was a Danish cartoonist.
I got you. Yeah. So that's the question. Like, people who try, like those who try to depict Muhammad in like illustrations and stuff like that, like it's seen not only as disrespectful.
I got it. So
yeah.
Let me, in order to answer this question, I have to begin with the Christian understanding of God, because this will make it easy for many people to understand what's going on.
Please.
If you ask a Calvinist Protestant preacher about God's attribute and violence in the Old Testament, that preacher would answer you this way. He would say, God has the power to do things that if we do them, they will be seen as evil. But if God does them, he will remain holy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to think of Muhammad in Islam the same way this preacher thinks of God. Muhammad can do things that if we do them, we will be seen as evil. But if he does them, he remained holy and beyond criticism.
Wow.
Now, this is I believe this is the foundation of all the barbaric, horrible stories that Islamic resources mentioned about Muhammad. Muhammad is portrayed as a warlord in the Islamic resources, and many of the Quranic verses were given by Allah about Muhammad's own personal affairs, his sexual preferences, his relationship with his wives, massacring people, ordering assassination. It's like you can find all of these stories online. Now, why did Muslims kept these stories? Again, because Muhammad is seen as holy, and these actions does not change his value in Islam. So when someone from Denmark or Netherlands draws Muhammad, they are reading from the Islamic resources. They are not making things up. It's stories that are present. You can go and buy a book and read about what Muhammad did to the Jews of Bani Qurayza, for example. Now, some of the stories are horrendous. How come that a prophet did this? But Muslims don't ask these questions. I will give you an example. Do you know why adoption is illegal in Islam? You cannot adopt a child in Islam. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
Okay, so why? Why do you think it's illegal? Now you will be shocked. Because Muhammad wanted to marry his daughter in law.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Muhammad has an adopted son. His name was Zayd. And Zayd married a woman. Her name was Zainab. And she was his wife for a very long time. And she considered Muhammad to be her father in law. Now, Muhammad, according to the Quranic text, I'm not making this up. According to the Quranic text, Muhammad had a sexual desire toward her. So Muhammad kept that in his heart. He didn't want to reveal it. But Allah was not happy with that. So Allah blamed Muhammad in the Quran and said to him, "O Prophet, why are you hiding what God is going to reveal? We know that you like her and you are afraid of people, what they gonna say about you. Don't worry about that. Zayd is gonna divorce her and there is no adoption anymore." Now,
Oh my God.
yeah, so that's how adoption was became illegal in Islam.
And what's the passage for that, please?
So this is Surah Al-Ahzab. Let me check what it's Surah 33 and verses 33 to 52. Like you can read in that part, you can read the whole story. Now, you might think when Muslims read this, they would, you know, wonder what's going on here, right? It's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
No, they don't. They don't care. Muhammad is above criticism. He can do whatever he wants. In Islamic jurisprudence, it was stated that if the Prophet looks at one of your wives, then you must divorce her and the Prophet marry her.
Oh my God.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what he does, what he says. He is, as I said again, the
So
imagination of Muslims.
so
There are two gods. Yeah, go ahead.
it sounds almost like Muhammad is above Allah. If I'm understanding this correctly. I mean, from everything that you're
Absolutely.
saying, yeah, it's like Muhammad is higher than Allah. Allah is just kind of like the I guess the window dressing to make it more palatable or more relatable to
Just to give legitimacy.
to other, right. Okay. So
Yeah, to give
wow.
legitimacy to Islam. But you're right. Ibn Taymiyyah, the most revered scholar in Islamic jurisprudence, he said, if you curse Allah, you can repent. If you curse Muhammad, you must be killed, even if you repent. so,
What
of
was even the
course,
point of repentance?
it
What's the
doesn't
point of
matter.
repentance?
As long
Oh
as
my
you have
God.
uttered the words, you deserve to be killed. God is merciful. He will forgive you, but we will never forgive you for
God
cursing Muhammad.
Jeez.
Yeah. So,
So it sounds like
Wow.
Muhammad was. It sounds like Muhammad was yet another warlord / like king or conqueror who made himself a god. In many ways, like I think Alexander the Great did that. I feel like a lot of other emperors in the past did that more or less, kind of made themselves, Roman emperors made themselves God. And I think it sounds like Muhammad's that kind of thing as well.
In the practical theology of Islam, yes, he is. In the practical theology of Islam, Muhammad is more important than Allah. It doesn't matter about the text. Let me tell you
Jeez.
this. I have studied comparative theology, and I preach in churches all the time. I tell Christians in churches, if your life is based in fear, your relationship with God is about fear, then you are not a Christian. I don't care if you call yourself Christian, if you follow Jesus, if you read the Bible. The practical theology in your life is telling me that you're not a Christian, because Jesus came to demolish fear and to
Yes.
establish a relationship between man and God based in love, right? So the
Yes.
same thing in Islam. If you see Muhammad more important than Allah, but your books, your sacred scripture don't say that, I don't care. It's all about the consequences of what you believe. It's all about the outcome, not how some text that you hold high.
Yeah, you
Unbelievable.
keep on coming back to that fear thing, and I feel like I made this association before as well. I find like God, religion is kind of, it's almost like a parent to child relationship, I think, in a lot of ways, like human beings to God, right? And maybe all creation in a way. And you know, I agree with you. I think like if you're only like, just like being a parent, if your only relationship to your child is they're scared of you all the time, they're frightened of you, they only respect you because you're going to hurt them. You know, what kind of relationship is that? What kind of parenting is that? What kind of childhood is that?
Just think of what that child is going to do when
Yeah.
they get
Yeah.
older. They will be bully. They will be aggressive. They will be violent.
Yes.
So they will project the hatred they have received growing up into the world.
Yes.
So that is the problem with Islam. And by the way, Christianity did not come up with the concept of God's fatherhood. It was Judaism.
Yes.
If you read the scripture, it's like Jesus did not create a new religion. Jesus built on Judaism. And in Judaism, oh God, you are our father. This is in the Psalms and this is in the book of Judges. So God is our father. From the beginning, God who created Adam, if you're a believer, if you believe in the Old Testament or the New Testament, if you're a Jew or Christian, you must know that God has established his relationship with us from the beginning as a father. So when Islam claims to be an Abrahamic faith and completely destroy this concept, you should not accept that claim. As simple as that. Many Christians, many Jews, they keep repeating this as mantra. Islam is an Abrahamic faith. It's not. If I decide today to write a book and I plagiarize the names of the prophets in the Bible, the history of Judaism, the history of Christianity, and I present myself as a religion that has common heritage, common line, or common source with the Christianity and Judaism, who's going to accept me? Nobody. But Islam, because it has established itself over 14th century of conquest, of occupation, colonization. Now Islam is accepted as an Abrahamic faith. It's not.
It isn't.
Yeah. So anyway, this is. I don't like to be only theoretical. I want people to think about how does Islam shape the mind of its followers. That is why I say Islam is dangerous to the West. Because let me give you this analysis, okay? It got like 2 million likes or 2 million views on X a few months ago. We hear every day about Muslims stabbing people on the streets of different cities in Europe or driving their cars into crowds. Or something like that happened on New Year's Eve in New Orleans, if you remember.
Yep. I do remember, yeah.
Now, why do people do that? Now, if I want to analyze this from a theological perspective, I will say this. If you're a Muslim, there is a way to salvation that is paved with very difficult, complicated rituals and duties. You have to follow a lot of commandments. Islam insert itself into every detail of your life, even going to the restroom. In Islam, you have to go using your left foot, not your right foot, because Satan lives in the toilet. And anyway, now,
Wait.
yeah,
What?
yeah, because Satan and his companions live in the dirty places. So when you go to the toilet, you have to enter with your left leg, not your right leg, so that Satan will flee. Something like that. Anyway, my point.
Oh
My
my
point is,
You gotta do the hokey pokey before you
You
go to the
gotta-
bathroom.
there are a lot of crazy things
across the Middle East. Do the hokey
Okay,
pokey.
I'm gonna
Oh
tell you
my-
something, and,
Yeah.
and believe me, I'm not making this up. When I was committed to Islam, sometimes I would enter the toilet with my right leg. I forget, and after I take my pants off and I sit, I remember that, oh, I made a mistake, so I would go out,
Oh.
re-enter again. So it's
I thought
anyway.
you were
This
gonna,
is
Dan. I thought you were gonna tell me that Satan popped his head out of the toilet. Gotcha, motherfucker.
Oh my God. A skibbity. A skibbity
listen,
toilet.
these some people. I'm always concerned about this. Many people might think, oh, these stories are fringe. No, not too many Muslims believe. No, everybody believes them. Everybody.
Wow, that's
It's like
interesting.
if you don't wake up for the dawn prayer at 4 a.m. in the morning, Satan is going to piss in your nose.
Jeez, man. No
Oh
wonder.
my God.
No wonder so many Muslims are violent and angry. Apparently, man. They wake you up at 4 a.m. every day.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that disturbs your sleep.
Oh my God.
Unless you go to bed very early.
Yeah. back to my point.
Please.
Back to my point. Now, when you have a lot of details that it's impossible to uphold, to keep, no way you can keep them.
No.
Especially, think of it. This is very, very important. If you're a practicing Jew, you choose to practice the commandments, not because you're afraid of God, but because you want to glorify him and you want to be in sync with him, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
in Islam, you are forced to do all the commandments because otherwise you will be punished. Now, this reality creates cognitive dissonance. You believe something about the word and the reality tells you something else. There is contradiction there. You cannot practice Islam. Islam is impractical. So that leads to guilt feeling. You're guilty all the time. You feel like you are condemned every single day.
You can't do anything right.
A Muslim woman who doesn't wear the hijab, she is full of guilt. I don't like to say, I don't want to say this because it's really sad, but it's real. If you know a Muslim woman and she doesn't wear the hijab, then expect her to be crippled by guilt and fear.
Oh.
But she has to reconcile her practice with the reality, and that's how Islam became impossible for her to practice. Anyway, so now, if you have this guilt feeling crippling you, there's other way of salvation. There's another way of salvation, and that way is jihad. Jihad is the only guarantee for you as a Muslim to enter paradise without going through hell, or even the consideration of hell is not there. You are going straight
Wow.
to Jannah, to paradise, if you practice jihad. That is
Oh, wow.
according to the Quran. So imagine you have thousands and thousands of commandments you have to uphold and practice in order to have a shot at salvation. No Muslim guarantees that he's going to heaven. No Muslim except the
What?
martyr. Yeah.
There's
In Islam,
no guarantee
no guarantee in
outside of
Islam.
jihad that you're going to heaven.
So that becomes
Absolutely.
very
The
attractive
only-
thing to do.
The only
Oh.
path for a Muslim to guarantee that they're going to heaven is dying in fighting against the non-believers. That's the only path. Now, when you have almost 60,000 plus terrorist attacks taking place in more than 70 countries in the last 20 years alone,
Jesus.
all related to Islam, you start wondering, what the hell is going on? Why?
Yeah.
Right? I'll tell you why. These people, they want to be saved. This is their way of having a shot to be saved. This is their way of salvation. So next time you see some Muslims stabbing some infidels on the street of Berlin, think of that person as somebody who is crippled by guilt and wants a way out.
My God.
Yeah, that's I'm not mute. Yeah, that's interesting. I just had I just shared a video, I think today or yesterday, of this guy. I think he's in England, some Muslim guy, I think Arab guy, who's like, you know, protesting got what's going on in Gaza and supporting Palestine. And he says that he, like, the difference between us and them is that we love death. You know, they don't love death, like Christians or Jews or whoever, but we love death. And that sounds like the reason why they love death, you know, for those Muslims that this is true, is because they could become martyrs and they could be guaranteed access to you know, the Islamic heaven.
It's the only way to be loved by your daddy.
Yeah. Jesus.
Go
It's
kill,
the only-
go murder a bunch of innocents who have no idea what's going on, and you shed the blood of innocence, and you will and
I want
die
you
in the
Yeah.
cause.
No,
And you will-
absolutely.
And you will be welcomed into paradise.
I'd say maybe you should play that clip. It's only 16 seconds. I put it in
Go
the
ahead.
private chat. In the private.
Oh, you
chat.
did?
Yeah,
Okay.
just
All right.
quick
Let's take a look at
16 seconds just to hear him say it himself.
Okay, here we go. Let me just.
But it's yeah, I'll keep talking for now. But yeah,
go
Dan,
ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm bringing
you
it up.
got it.
No. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Keep talking.
yeah.
Keep talking.
No, I mean that's a big concern, because then you have people who are like, "This is my."
I'm
way
gonna
to get
drink
to heaven.
water, then I will come to comment on it.
Yeah,
Please.
sure. And this is like, and if you have enough people in these in our you know, in Western countries or whatever, where there's just a big enough influx of these guys,
Yeah.
that are violent, that are happy to die for their faith because they know they're going to go to heaven, and they hate, you know, the West anyways, and they think we're sinners, and Muhammad and Allah says that we're infidels, so we're not worth a damn anyways. You know, then that is a big motivation, especially if you're people of faith who like are just constantly, like he said, like it's like there's so many commandments and you're supposed to apply them to your lives.
I have never in my
You'll become
life.
obsessed. You'll become obsessed with it. It's like it's a cult. It becomes.
I mean, I've seen, because for some odd reason this isn't loading. Let
me see if it plays on mine.
I know of like forms of religion, forms of Christianity, even that are very much formalistic and very much legalistic, right? Like just to give you a little bit of my upbringing, I was raised in a Christian family, right? Early on in my life, we were raised in a very in a conservative Christian outset. My parents had us in a church where we had to dress up, like suit, tie, like shirts, ties, the whole bit. It was very, formalistic, but the word was there. Like the word of God was there, was edifying, stuff like that. I have never, even back then, okay, now don't get me wrong, there was pressure in this church, right? There was pressure growing up to look a certain way, to pray a certain way,
Not
to talk
sin.
a certain way, right? To not sin, because sin is transgression of the law of God, right? Like these are things, like these are just basic tenets of the Christian faith. Judaism is also very legalistic. Like Judaism, I think, there's a verse in the Bible that says, where originally Moses gave 10 commandments, they had in the time of Jesus 613. I don't even want to know how many there are now, but
613, yeah.
Oh, still 613. Okay, all right. See, again, consistency, right? But I had no idea that you're not even guaranteed paradise. You're not guaranteed to go to heaven. I mean, like the Bible says, the Bible says, be perfect as my heavenly Father is perfect. If you fear the Lord, keep all of his commandments, for this is the whole of man. I mean, these are things that are basic tenets of Christianity. That ain't there. So there's no grace, no mercy, and you basically have to go out in a blaze of glory.
I need to comment on the legalism in Christianity or Judaism. There's a huge difference. Now, we as human beings, we have this feeling that we have to perform in order to be accepted and loved.
Yeah.
And the performance-based salvation is the project that is dominant in Christianity, in Judaism, in Buddhism, everywhere. It's all about your performance. And in Islam, I believe as a Christian that performance-based salvation is wrong. It's not biblical. But anyway, even in the legalistic circles among Christianity or Judaism, you still have the character of God, his attributes, his goodness is still there. So your disobedience is not something that you are not obeying God for the sake of obedience. You're obeying God because it is the right thing to do. Does that make sense?
And it also
that does make
often
sense.
In Islam, you have to obey for the sake of obedience itself. There's a verse in the Quran that says, if Allah and his messenger decide something, a Muslim has no say. Okay, so
Oh my God.
In the Bible, God is saying that don't covet. Covet is bad. It's about how you see yourself. You are not confident. You don't have faith.
Right.
Don't fornicate because you're a covenant keeper. You have a covenant with God. You know what I mean? In Islam, the commandments are not the foundation of the commandment is not goodness, but submission. So that's why when you break them in Islam, you have committed the most horrific crime, disobedience. In Christianity, you fornicated, you lied, you stole. You know what I mean? In Islam, you disobeyed. So that is the ultimate difference. So even though I don't want legalism to be in the church, but there is no comparison. And I want to answer people who might be thinking, yeah, Islam has fear, also Christianity, especially Catholicism. The Catholic Church has a lot of fear in it. Yeah, but the Catholic Church has the compassion of Mary the Virgin. The Catholic Church has Jesus. The
Yeah.
Catholic Church, it's like
Confession,
there's
confession of
no there's
sins,
no
Right.
forgiveness of sins.
yeah.
There's a lot
There's
of love in
grace, there's
Christianity.
mercy. Like
Yeah.
like that's the thing that I like as I listen to this, I think a lot about how there's there's grace and mercy and peace and forgiveness of sins within Christianity. And what that does is it allows people the chance to focus on their own, to focus more on the day-to-day. You know, like life is hard enough as it is outside of religion. And to think that this religion, that this particular a form of worship is so like backbreakingly, like there's a cruelty. There's a
Think of it.
cruelty to Islam.
Think of it this way.
Mhm.
What is the difference between a rich person and a poor person? The poor person is working for the sake of money. The rich person is working. He could be he could be like he doesn't care about money. It's about the vision. It's about growth. It's about impact. So there was a study in New York City, in Manhattan, many years ago, and in that study, they discovered that the taxi drivers in Manhattan, they make $130 every day in summer and in winter. Even though the traffic in summer is like more higher, more people use the taxis. So the people who conducted these studies, they wanted to find out what's going on there, and they came to the result. The result was this: the taxi driver, he needs $130 to pay rent, utilities, and to cover the basic expenses in his life. So during winter, they work almost 16 hours to get to the $130. In summer, they work only 8, 9 hours to get to the $130. And they stop working after that. So, what does that tell us? It tells us that when you are in debt, when you are poor, your goal is not to thrive, it is to survive. Even though if you have the opportunity to thrive, you don't take it. You're focused on survival. Now, apply this to Islam and to Christianity. In Christianity, you are acting out of richness, not out of poverty,
Right.
because God made you rich with his grace. You are not working to pay the debt. According to Christianity, Jesus has already paid the debt, right?
Exactly. Yes, yes, yes.
That's
Amen.
that's why Paul in the New Testament he said, if you're a thief, you're not asked to only stop stealing. No, you're asked to work and give others. Why? Because you're not paying back a debt. You are asked to thrive, to flourish, abundancy. In Islam, however, you are poor. You are asked to pay a debt. You are asked to submit and obey. And you are trying to survive. So that's why beneath the surface of your obedience, it's not the relationship, it's not joy, it's fear, it's debt, it's poverty, it's a struggle. You're trying to survive. That's why
Mhm.
the Islamic countries cannot be prosperous unless they import values from the West.
Real
Yeah, go
quick,
ahead.
real quick. I just want to share you mentioned you mentioned the verse about not stealing. Uh that is Ephesians 4 verse 28. And I just want to bring that up real quick. Let me just pull it up here. Ooh, and there we go. It says, I'm reading from the New International Version. It says, anyone who has been stealing must steal no longer, but must work, doing something useful with their own hands, that they may have something to share with those in need. So there it is, folks.
Paul,
There it is.
notice, Paul is not saying don't steal so that you make it to heaven. Jesus is not saying don't kill so you make it to heaven.
Right.
God in Christianity and by extension in Judaism, even because the grace of God is present in Judaism, God is doing something fundamental, something radical. He is saying you are following the carrot. You're a donkey following the carrot. Religions is dangling the carrot in front of you. Jihad is the carrot to get saved. I'm gonna feed you the carrot. Here it is. You can take it now. Now I want you to follow me. I think of a story about Abraham Lincoln, if I'm not mistaken. He went to the slaves market and he purchased a woman, and she followed him. Then after a couple minutes, he stopped and he looked at her and he said, "Go, you're free." She was shocked. She didn't know what to say. So after a pause, she said, "What do you mean free? Can I go wherever I want? Can I do whatever I want?" He said, "Yes." Then she said to him, "Okay, I want to stay with you." This concept is present in the Old Testament. Slaves who decide to stay with their masters after 7 years of slavery, they can choose that.
Yeah.
Why would a slave choose to be with the master?
Because they're not
After,
established.
because not out of fear, they are free to go,
Yeah.
but because they realize, and of course, this is not about slavery. This is about the relationship with God. God freed us from slavery so that now our response is, okay, I know you're good. You're the best. I want to stay with you. Now, please let's apply this to the West, okay, to the Western civilization.
Yes, yes.
The Western civilization was built on these foundations. Centuries of struggles, the Enlightenment, the fusion of Judeo-Christian values with Greek philosophy, the school of thought that have developed over centuries. That's what shaped the West. When I say that no country in the world can prosper without importing the values and the principles of the West into their system, I am not making a false claim. I'm just repeating history. I'm just telling you historical facts. The Western culture is superior. It's not because of colonialism. It's not because the West preyed on the resources of other cultures. That
Yeah.
is not true. It is the values that the human dignity. God, a man was created in the image of God. It is the judicial system, equality, freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. So there is no comparison. Now, the Western culture had a very long time had a belief that there is absolute meaning, there is absolute identity, there is absolute truth. Nothing is relative. It's like, but in the past century, now we have the dismantlement of everything that established the Western culture. Now,
And that
go ahead.
goes into my, yeah, I'm sorry. And that goes into my next question, which is why do over the last several years, I've noticed this, especially since 9/11, Okay. So we're going on almost 25 years of this. There is a level of servile, of like fear of Islam ever since 9/11, ever since the towers came down here in New York City. Western governments, and I don't know if it was like this before. I mean, I'm in my early 40s, so like anything past I would say Bush 41, I'm not going to remember all that well, right? But ever since 9/11, there has been this servile fear in the West, particularly from liberal political parties and liberal governments. They're the ones who started the whole Islamophobia type thing. Why is that? Why do Western governments go out of their way to accommodate Islam, often at the expense of common sense? Like why do you think that is?
Well, in the past, before 9/11, there were many reasons, three in particular. We have geopolitical machinations. We have the CIA working with jihadists in Afghanistan to combat communism, and that demanded a narrative of heroism about those freedom fighters. So they were portrayed in the West as freedom fighters, and they connected that to Islamic Jihad. Now, when 9/11 happened and the genie left the bottle, everybody realized that Islam is terrorism. It's like there is no way around it. It's like Osama bin Laden was in his videos, people were watching his videos. He was saying very clearly that we aim to fight the mushrikeen, the polytheists, the worshippers of the cross. So it's like jihad is Islam. Now, because of the fear of backlash, the government in America decided to draw a fake picture. And that's why George W. Bush said in his speech, Islam is the religion of peace. Right? So this is the reason number two. It's the fear of backlash. And the first one is the political reason. The third reason is the ideological war in the West. Post-colonialism, imperialism. Muslims are portrayed as minority, even though they are not a minority. There are 2 billion people. But still, because the majority of Muslims are brown-skinned, then they are immigrants. They are minority, and criticizing Islam is equivalent of imperialism. You are practicing your colonialistic identity, superior identity when you try to criticize Islam. So they came up with Islamophobia, and not only Islamophobia, they also came up with Islamism. So governments in the United States and in Britain in particular, they started using in their official documents, they started using the term Islamism to refer to the Islamist or the jihadist. Now, what is Islamism? I was a Muslim. I have never heard of that word before. Oh, okay, Islamism, it's a fringe movement within Islam that hijacked Islam in the 20th century. It's a political movement. It has nothing to do with authentic original Islam. Now, why is this? Yeah, why is this helpful? Now, why manufacturing Islamism was necessary? Well, you want to avoid confrontation with 2 billion people. It's as simple as that. You can fight terrorism under the banner of Islamism without offending Muslims. But let me tell you this. If Islamism was impactful, if it was really something fruitful, Muslims wouldn't let you even use it. But because it's a hoax, they don't care. You can use Islamism as long as you are not touching our sacred text, our sacred scripture. But here is the problem with Islamism, and please pay attention to this, guys.
Yes.
When you say terrorism is Islamism, you are protecting the sources that keep on giving birth to more terrorist and jihadist movements. Because what is the fountain of the Islamist? What is the foundation of their ideology?
The scripture, Muhammad.
If it's scripture, and if you are to scrutinize the scripture, then you are criticizing Islam, not Islamism. So you see how uh, Islamism is deflecting the problem, is protecting Islamic sources from scrutiny. You cannot criticize Islam. And beside that, Muslims played a very funny game. They presented themselves in the West as a race. So criticizing Islam is racism. Islam is not a racism. It is not a race. And criticizing Islam is not racism. You can criticize Christianity. I can now, here on your podcast, criticize Christianity, insult Jesus, insult Moses, insult the Torah. No Jew or Christian will threaten to behead me. But now, trust me, if it was not for security and people don't want to expose themselves, you will find hundreds of threats in the comment section. But now I receive them on my inbox, or people are thinking about them. But of course, today people are hesitant to act upon these impulses because they know the consequences. And thankfully, that the governments are not tolerating this kind of violence. However, they are tolerating something else, and this is a very important point as well. Islamic movements don't need jihad in the West today. Many people are afraid of terrorist attacks. Don't be afraid of that. Islamic movements don't care about terrorist attacks anymore. Why would they jeopardize what they have accomplished by committing terrorist attacks? They are infiltrating your system. They are electing officials. They are changing laws. They are. Why would they commit something so idiotic that would waste all of their efforts in the past 20 years? So don't be afraid of terrorist attacks. If somebody is committing a terrorist attack, they're probably a lone wolf. It's not organized, not systematic. No sane Islamic jihadist movement is going to do something stupid like that.
Yeah, they seem to be conquering major European cities and parts of American cities just by moving in and outbreeding the local population. So it's a conquest without firing a bullet, a conquest without waging any kind of war.
Bloodless.
Why? Yeah. But before moving to other questions, I forgot to mention the other part of the answer. I said 3 reasons why Islam was tolerated, or Islamic Jihad was tolerated in the past. But also today we have something more cynical: votes. In countries like the UK, France, Belgium, and Germany, Muslim communities make up significant voting blocks today. I have the numbers here, especially in urban areas. And politicians, they don't want, especially on the left, they know that criticizing Islam or even refusing to bow to Islamic demands could mean electoral suicide. So look at the Labour Party in Britain. 30 people are being jailed every day in the UK for freedom, for speech crimes. 30 people.
30 a day?
30 a day. The number is staggering. It's almost unbelievable. And if you look at the laws, I have written an article about this. Please go to my website and read the article about freedom of speech in UK. The laws that they have made up to combat Islamophobia, the so-called Islamophobia, are ridiculous. You cannot tweet, you cannot write a post on Facebook talking or commenting on Islam anymore. You will go to jail. So this is like, it's all about votes. The Labour Party don't want to lose the Muslim votes. However, imagine what's going to happen when Muslims have the numbers and the upper hand. What they're going to do to the Labour Party?
Oh, they're gonna throw them right the hell out.
They're going to kick their asses. They don't need them.
Yeah.
So that's the reality in Europe today.
Right.
And the tolerance. I remember visiting my brother in Germany a few years ago, and God is my witness, I'm not making these stories up. The first story is an Afghani refugee. He was sick. Nothing like, nothing serious. He was just sick. But the hospital was 3 hours away from where he was living. So the German government sent him a helicopter to move him to the hospital. Another asylum seeker in Berlin, he was protesting against the German government decision to give every 2 refugees an apartment. He wanted an apartment for himself, each refugee an apartment. So he climbed up a tree in front of the parliament, and it was freezing. And he said, I'm not going to get down until you change the law. So an official came out with a blanket at 10 p.m. and they held a meeting for the officials of the city.
Are you kidding? Oh my God.
And they changed the law so that refugee would come down. I'm not making this up.
So upend all of society for some nutter who won't get out of a tree.
Yeah, exactly.
Upend their entire society, all of your everything that you've done, all of your, everything about your civilization and your culture, you must uproot it so that this religious nut can come out of the tree, can climb down from a tree.
Exploiting the Western laws is something they have mastered, unfortunately. They know that the West is full of guilt about the Holocaust, about slavery. The West doesn't want to repeat the crimes of their ancestors. So they're exploiting these facts. If you have seen Professor Gad Saad last week, his interview, he said 3 means of expansion: the womb, immigration, and exploiting the Western laws. Yeah, the miserable Western freedom is being used against freedom and liberty and individual rights.
They're also exploiting toxic, pathological empathy that we see from the left. There, and I think it's partly due to the increased feminization of the West. Honestly,
yeah. Think of what happened after October 7. Israel has become the representative of the Western colonialist regimes.
Yeah.
So when they stand with Hamas, and I want you guys to listen to this, please listen. Supporting Hamas and celebrating Hamas, the reason behind that is because these people, the revolutionaries, are jealous of Hamas. They want to be able to do what Hamas has been able to do to the oppressor. Hamas is the oppressed. Yeah, Hamas is the oppressed, right? And on October 7, they caused a lot of damage to the oppressor, to Israel. Now, these revolutionaries, they see themselves as oppressed by the colonial imperialistic regimes of the West, the United States government, the UK government, the German government. So they are jealous. They want to be able to do the same, to hurt the oppressor. This is their worldview. This is how they see the world. It's all about power dynamics. It's all intersectionality.
Yep.
Hamas is oppressed because they are weaker. They are not. They don't celebrate the fact that Israel, a young nation, 75 years old, located in an ocean of enemies who wants its demise, and yet it built one of the greatest nation on earth, one of the greatest economy. They don't celebrate that. No, they see Israel supremacy, whether the military, the economy, as a signal that Israel is a white colonialist project. So they side with the oppressed. The same thing is happening here in the United States. They want to defund the police. Why? Why do you think it's connected? That's why Mamondi, Mamdani, what the hell
Mamdani,
his
yeah.
name is,
Yeah, Mamdani.
Go
Yeah.
Ron.
he represents a merger of two dangerous forces. You have the far left radicalism and Islam.
Yes.
This unholy symbiotic alliance.
The Red Green Alliance. Yes.
And Islam is attaching itself to the progressive movement and flushing away all the disagreements because now it's helpful to ignore all the disagreements. You know, in Islam, no homosexuality is a no. It's like they didn't care for all the causes of the progressive, but now they are weaponizing that social justice, equity, equality, minority
Critical
rights,
theory,
the
DEI.
language. They are weaponizing it in order to and please remember O.J. Simpson. How did he walk away? Do you remember?
He said he was going to go look for the real killer.
No, he walked away because his defense team.
Oh yeah.
They deflected the whole
That's
trial.
what you meant. Yeah.
And
yeah.
they weaponized the beating of Rodney King from 2 years before that, and they made it a social justice issue, not the murder of his wife. No, it's a social justice issue.
And one of the
So-
cops said the N-word or something, or he was racist.
Yeah,
or
so
something
he-
like that. Yeah.
So he walked away. Think of Islam in the West as O.J. Simpson. Islam is
Good analogy.
attaching itself to the social justice, minority movements, LGBTQ. This way, look at what happened since the election of Mamdani. All the attacks are directed at what? Socialism. So this is perfect. This is what he wanted from the beginning. He wanted us to criticize socialism, to see him as a socialist agenda carrier, not as an Islamic person, a Shia 12er person who believes in everything antithetical to the Western values, and that's the danger. If he becomes the mayor of New York City.
I want to ask you about Zoran in depth
Yeah.
a little bit later. This has been absolutely insightful. And I have to say, Danny, thank again. This is, I have to just take a second and thank you for dropping this knowledge on us this evening. This has been fantastic stuff. I appreciate
my pleasure,
you.
my friend. Thank you for having me.
Of course, this is like
Agreed.
this is what I want to ask about, because we're seeing a lot of this subversion of cities, states, countries being subverted and turned into, almost overnight. You're seeing the town is turned almost immediately into these Muslim centers. Like there's Dearborn, Michigan. I had
Yeah.
no idea Dearborn, Michigan was such a hub of Islam here in the United States. Over here on the West Coast in the tri-state, there's Paterson, New Jersey. Paterson is not too far from New York.
I've been to Dearborn. I've been to Paterson. I have seen what's going on there. So yeah.
So like, what do people need to look for to know that their town may have been subverted or maybe in the process, if you will, of being subverted? I'll let you talk. I'll be right back.
So there's a pattern that Muslim population in the West follow, and it's very scientific. You can study it. When they are an extreme minority, 0 to 2%, they want to coexist. They want to assimilate. They just want to focus on their life, keeping food on the table. They don't care about any of the issues that people are afraid of. But with the process of time and where their number grows, they start asking for accommodation. They ask gently. Once they hit that 10% level, they force the society to accommodate them. So yeah, there's a pattern. Actually, I have written an article about this too. So go to my website, you will find the article.
What's your website, Dan? Just so everybody hears it.
It's
on the podcast.
project-ex.org.
Okay, cool.
So, but to comment on Mamdani, because I have written something about this, not Mamdani, I'm sorry, to comment on what Carter asked about Dearborn and signs in Paterson and Dearborn, I would say that what I have been saying for the past 1.5 hours, fear. If you are afraid to criticize Islam in your town, to wear certain clothes, to do things freely, then this is a sign that your town has been hijacked.
Wow.
So look for that sign. Is the sign already here? I would say yes. I'll tell you why. I go to a certain place from time to time because there is a Mediterranean restaurant there. I have to wear a cap, sunglasses. I really have to hide who am I in order to avoid any clashes, because I believe that my life would be in danger if I am identified. And that is here in the United States of America, in the heartland. So when you have fear, of course, the anti-Semites and Jews haters in the West, they would say, you cannot criticize Israel. It's like, what have they been doing for the past 2 years? They have been killing Israel, but they insist you're not allowed to criticize Israel. No, in fact, if you are not allowed to criticize Islam, that is a very dangerous sign, and you need to start thinking about how things are going down from this point on. If there is a blasphemy enforcement, can you?
Oh shit!
Yeah, can you say something that usually get people killed in Islamic countries, or are you afraid to do that? Soft Sharia. You will notice in public spaces adapting to Islamic expectations. You will have women pressured to dress modestly. Look at certain neighborhoods in London. Women are asked not to wear exposing clothes in certain neighborhoods, even though they are not Muslim women.
No, I've seen that before, I think, yeah.
Have you seen that sign?
I think so, yes.
And they are asked not to walk their dogs in these neighborhoods because dogs are... Right?
Yeah, the no-go zone.
I also seen that they were taking, they forced people to take bacon, egg, and cheeses off menus, too. Because it got
Oh,
bacon.
yeah. Oh yeah, schools avoiding pork in menus.
That's
Out
funny.
of
I was just making a joke, Dan. I didn't know I didn't know they were doing that.
No, they are. I've seen
no,
that.
no, no. They
I've
they
seen
ask.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They ask the schools
messed up, man.
to take the pork off the menu gently,
Jesus.
but of course,
Soon it won't be so gentle.
there's a certain amount of intimidation there. It's like if you
Yeah.
don't do that, so you know what I mean. It's like you
We
have
had that already, Dan, with the leftism too, with the wokeness and stuff. We've had that for several years in America, where like you're not allowed to criticize. You weren't even allowed to criticize or question kids being taught that they should be trans or they should be changing their gender and potentially castrating and mutilating and sterilizing themselves. If you even asked about that, like, are you sure it's a good idea to teach like 6-year-olds that and push that on them and glamorize that? If you did that, people would be like, oh, you must be a transphobic, hateful bigot. You hate the LGBT community. You need to shut up. You're not allowed to come to the parties anymore.
yeah. Thank God for X
we have
and
that
Elon
too with the
Musk
left.
and
Yeah.
freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very dangerous. At a certain point, Americans almost lost their freedom of speech, but things reversed, and we are at a good point now. People are free to say whatever they want. This is great. Thank God for it. But I want to say something to the American people. Please normalize freedom of speech again.
Yes.
Don't be tolerant of dangerous ideas that wants to change your way of life, that wants to enforce laws that antithetical to your values, that want to change the face of your country, because infiltration happens very slowly. You don't get to see it. It's one small detail at a time. And with the process of time, in 20, 30 years, you will wake up and you will realize, oh my goodness, what the hell happened to my country? So normalize the freedom of speech again, intentionally and deliberately. Speak freely. Don't be afraid. If people are offended by your opinion, let them be offended. Who cares? I want you to look. I want, especially pro-Israel and pro-America folks, look at the anti-Israel, anti-West movements. They are confident, clear, loud. They don't care. They don't filter their speeches. They invite the most fierce people and they give them platforms. However, the pro-Israel, pro-Western values organizations, what are they doing? They have to vet every speaker as if they are vetting him for governor. They have to, polish everything, every word. God forbid that somebody says something out of line.
Right.
Why? Because I have to say this, because the radical left has convinced you that bigotry is something that happens only among you. They don't have bigotry.
Right.
And you're convinced that racism is something that exists among your circle, within your circle. They don't have racism.
It's disgusting.
Right?
Disgusting.
Yes.
Because the more they repeat that, it's like you cannot accuse them of being racist. They play this card all the time. Well, you can accuse me of being racist. I don't care. I'm just saying the truth.
Only white people could be racist, they say too.
They love that shit. They love that
only
shit.
white people are racist. Hilarious.
Oh my God, I hate that.
We have to
hate
tell
that.
the truth.
Oof.
Are all cultures equal? Answer this question. Are all cultures equal?
No.
They're not.
Nope.
No, absolutely not.
Not my opinion, no.
You don't see people throwing themselves in the oceans trying to swim their way into Pakistan or Afghanistan
Ever.
Or Cuba. Or North Korea.
Cuba, or even Russia or China.
Yeah.
But they do that to reach the shores of Europe and America.
This is something. This is something that I've been seeing. I've seen images of, but I have not seen this yet in the wild. This right here is a Muslim community patrol car. Again, this is in New York City. I have seen this. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's
That's
laid out.
crazy.
In fact, if you
That's
take
crazy.
a look at this, this is in the old paint scheme of the NYPD. From the letters to the colors to even the shield. The shield on the passenger side, in the front passenger door, all of it looks like an NYPD car. Okay, and this might be a retired Interceptor that they used back in the day, but that right there is it exists. I've seen it.
Is this a neighborhood watch? What is that?
Apparently so. I think you know what? I have seen these. I've seen these in Kensington. There's a part of Brooklyn. There's a part of Brooklyn in I want to say it's called it's
Yeah,
Kensington.
there was a story broke a few years ago about Islamic figures who are leading some kind of neighborhood watch, and they act as if they are law enforcement.
Yeah.
I shared that on my X, and people say that it was a few years ago. But I wrote something about creating Gaza or Al Dahya in Beirut in the West. You know, Al Dahya is the headquarter of Hezbollah. It's that part of Beirut, Lebanon, where Hezbollah is located, and Gaza is where Hamas is located. So, how do you create Gaza, another Gaza in Europe, and down the road in the U.S.? How do you do that?
Create a big enclave of Arabs,
Yeah,
and then be
there
like,
there
oh,
are
they're oppressing us, and then
there are very clear steps. You can get there. You start by establishing non-profit organizations, work among minorities, equalities, and then after that you start organize. You get voting blocks together in order to elect officials, and of course, in America, it's more dangerous because you have the Second Amendment, so people people are citizens. In 2030, we will have 5.1 million American citizens Muslim. So 5 million people are able to. It's like I'm not accusing all of them. I'm just saying 1% of them, 50,000, are going to be able to purchase weapons, and they have some jihadist thoughts against the United States government, right? So with time, you will have these enclaves, and you will have a manufactured cause in order to protect yourself. You present it as protecting your people, where in fact you are intimidating the law enforcement and the government. Hamas manufactured a cause. Hezbollah manufactured the cause. The whole Palestinian cause is manufactured. I'm writing about this in my book. My book is coming out in October 7. It's going to explain everything about why Islam is a political theology, why Islam is not only a religion, and the religious status should be stripped. The whole Arab-Israeli conflict. I don't care about repeating some boring historical facts. I'm providing analysis, powerful analysis that I believe people are not going to be able to respond to, because I have been talking about this for almost a year, and I am yet to see any real response, powerful response to my thesis. So anyway, wait for my book. I'm talking about Islam in the West, what the threat. So yeah, I'm excited about delivering this book to your
Looking
hands.
forward.
October 7th. All right.
October 7th.
Look out for
Okay,
that.
so we're going to look for that, and we'll ask you to repeat the information about your book towards the end of our time here. I have just out of
Wait, I
curiosity.
want to get back, Isaiah, right before we change the subject. I want to get back to what you brought up, though.
Please.
Do we know anything about these patrol cars? I mean, it looks like a police car. Like, what kind of authority do these people have? These Muslim community patrols. Why do we need a separate police force? Like, what's wrong with the police?
It's not too dissimilar. See, it's not too dissimilar from what Hasidic Jews have in their communities.
Do they
right?
have their
Like
own cars like this?
the Shamrim, the Shamrim community, like community police. That there's the the Hatsola, which is like their EMS, their own like EMS services, because I guess because there's certain things like that they might need in case like kosher restrictions and stuff like that. That's generally how that works. And the Hasidic communities here in New York City have had this, well, really all over the country. They've had this for quite some
And who
time.
funds this? That's what I'd like to know. Like,
I think it's funded by the synagogues. Like I know the like the Lubavitch and stuff like that.
I can live with that, depending on their authority and stuff.
But
I
in
don't
terms
think we
of
need to be
this,
funding like these kind of patrols for like different faith groups and stuff like that.
I
Hopefully they're paying
don't
for that themselves, and that goes for Christians as well. Anybody?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know who's funding this.
Yeah.
I don't know who's funding this. I don't want. I don't like my tax dollars going to this, and I don't know if too many other people who would. This is.
It's the kind of stuff that separates us, like as a country. I think the country people need to assimilate to our country, whether it's United States, whatever. Just like we'd have to assimilate to a country in the Middle East, right? That's part of being in that country. And if you have like these different splintering off communities where they have their own authority and their own thing and their own, like police force or something like that, and I'm not saying that's what this is. That becomes dangerous, right? If there are laws, it's like. And then people start to see themselves as a different nation within the nation. It's like, no, there's this is one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. That's America. You don't like that? You probably shouldn't be in America. Like, and that's not racist to say. It's not Islamophobic to say. That's just how it is. Like, either assimilate or don't. So this is the kind of stuff that concerns me, seeing that stuff. And then maybe it's perfectly fine right now, but maybe, as Dan I think is warning us, it starts to get a little bit where it starts to interfere with assimilation. It starts to interfere with our values, our laws, and that's a big issue.
Of course. I do want to ask you this because there's a lot of talk about Zoran, and we even touched on him a little bit, but in this last little bit, like this is kind of the big stuff. I actually, one question that I do want to ask you before I get to Zoran. Bill Holte. I don't know if you know who that. If an ex-user by the name of Bill Holte, a couple days ago, talked about an interaction that he had in an Uber, where like the guy was talking about how racist Trump was, and it's crazy. Shout to Bill Holte. Great. He's a Trump supporter, a black gay man who is quite proud of being MAGA, quite proud of voting for Donald Trump. He mentions this. I'm going to look for it, but essentially the thing that concerned me the most about this interaction is that the guy, this Holte's Uber driver had pamphlets in the back of like in the backs in like the backs of the front seats.
Yeah.
And some of them were aimed at women. Now, I've been noticing over the last couple of years, and I think I told you this, I lost friendships with two women, one black, one Hispanic, an African woman, in fact, who I had mentioned something about, like I had said, there's something going on here, because I just noticed like a lot of Muslim, like a lot of like recent converts to Islam, female converts to Islam, they would, they would blend like influencing on Instagram and talk about their, their progression. Is this a thing? Like, is this a pattern where women are joined, where like they're getting like where they're talking to women and getting to women? Like how is this normally how this operates when it comes to proselytizing?
Well, we have to admit that women in the West, they feel lost, disoriented, big portion of them, because of the postmodern hyper individualism and the hookup culture,
Feminism, radical feminism,
feminism, you know, and the war,
protection of family
the
values,
war on
motherhood.
families,
Yeah.
and the roles of a woman and a man.
Yeah.
For God's sake, we don't have a definition of a woman even.
Yeah.
So Islam, the rigidity of Islam feels like safety.
Mm.
And this is biology and this is psychology. You know, in Christianity, we have complementarianism. We have, you know, a woman and a man, they complement each other's roles.
Mm.
They are equal, but there's a leader in the house. And it has been like this for thousands of years. And suddenly the society decided no, we have two leaders in the house, and as if complementarianism, having different roles for the man and the woman, are inequality. And of course, this is the result of dogmatic, ideological indoctrination that has been taking place in the society for decades now. And many women, believe it or not, they crave order. They crave that special. I have to be very, I have to be very careful what I say now because I don't want people to crucify me. I don't want the radical left to crucify me, but
They're going to do that anyway.
yeah.
They're going to do that anyway, Danny. You want to? It's a little too late for that, brother.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
a
No,
little too late for that.
they don't want to admit it, but listen, I want you to look at this, okay? This is a straight line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when a society pushes itself to the edge, there must, at some point, a correction must happen. Correction. Because people are tired and they feel that it's not what they were hoping to get from pushing too far.
Yeah.
So now imagine when the society wants to correct itself, instead of going back to the middle, they go to the other end.
Pendulum swings. That's what we call it.
Yep.
This is compensation, right?
Yeah.
Now, what is the other end? It's Islam.
Yes. Yes.
It's the rigidity of Islam.
Very
So
constraining.
you can don't be surprised to see transsexual woman with the pink hair and all the feminism language and all of that. Suddenly she's wearing a hijab and
I
she's
think we've seen
going.
that.
I've seen this.
We've seen
Yeah.
that already. Yeah.
What's
I've
going
Very
on?
seen
Islam.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on? It's the snap. They snapped because it's called overcorrection. They're trying
Yeah.
to correct what the mistake that happened in the society, but they overdo it and they end up on the other side of the spectrum, on the other end of the spectrum.
And people
So-
see people seek constraints too, like and not just women but men too. They seek because there's endless options in the world, endless things you could do, and it's very disorienting when there's you could do anything you want at all times. It's
You
like, okay, why?
mistake chaos for freedom,
Yes.
and then when the chaos tear you down, you seek order.
Yes. Yes.
And when you
And
seek
meaning.
order, you don't go to the healthy amount of order.
Yes.
You embrace the
Authoritarian.
the authoritarian
Theocratic
version of it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why Islam is so appealing to many individuals. Another reason is loneliness and individualism.
Community. Yep.
Islam has hijacked the sense of community and presented it as an Islamic thing. It's not Islamic; it is Mediterranean, Oriental, Eastern. We all the nations in the East, they have this community. Go to Spain, walk the streets of any town in Spain. You will find people sitting in front of their houses, talking to their neighbors. This is something we don't have it in America. People are, it's like they're private, very private. They care about their privacy.
Individualistic.
And yeah, people get lonely, and loneliness is the root cause of addiction, and it destroys people.
Yes.
We are relational beings. We crave relationships, and we cannot live a lonely life. That's why Islam becomes appealing to foreigners, to immigrants. So, yeah.
And I'll add a third part to that, Dan, too, which is kind of, it kind of relates to it, but there's also a God-shaped hole, right? A lot of these women are atheists, and people in general on the left are atheists, and they, most people do have a God-shaped hole they need to fill with something, maybe whatever it might be. But it helps if it's a religion. It helps if it's spiritual. It helps if it's some kind of connection to God. If we just wouldn't like that, it's probably because there is a God, right? So, they don't have that because they've been taught their whole lives that Christianity's patriarchal, religion's patriarchal. It's all nonsense, evolution, all this stuff. So like we've been made to be atheists in the West. Especially in Europe, but it also in the more progressive cities, 100%. And now they have the spirituality of the gender. And then when they have Islam, this very, like you said, very rigid, very there's so much
very clear, very confident, with a backbone. Listen,
traditions, beautiful mosques, all that. They're like, oh, great, perfect. Now
Christianity,
yes,
Christianity in the West lost its backbone. Today, there is no absolutes. There is no assertion of truth. Go to any church. It's like a TED Talk. They're trying to attract people through music and lights, and they pay millions of dollars for the atmosphere inside the church. And faith became a personal, private thing. It's not something you proclaim. If you proclaim it, you are crazy or radical. And Islam steps in the vacuum, and Islam claims, no, there is no relativism here. It's only absolute truth, and people want that certainty. People want that certainty.
Human nature.
It's precious. And don't mistake this to Christianity is weak. No, it's not. Christians are weak because they have sacrificed. They have sacrificed their culture.
The institutions have gotten weak.
Now I found that a tweet from a post rather from Bill Holte. He said, and this is from June 28th. So he says, my Lyft driver, shout to Sir Bill Holte, shout to him. He says, my Lyft driver home from breakfast just now was wearing Muslim garb. Then I noticed these pamphlets in front of me. So I asked him, what do you think about this guy, Mamdani, in New York City? He'll make a hell of a mayor, especially if it gets that Trump lover Adams out. Me, what you got against Eric Adams? He's black and a Democrat. He stopped being that as soon as he started being on Trump's side. And then he goes so forth and so on. But this is so this is going to kind of go into what I want to talk about next. But that is the I don't know if you've seen this, Danny, but that is I
have seen more than this. Trust me, I have been in the business for a very long time. Actually, last week I was in Chicago, and I was with my family, and we were walking near Trump Tower. And there was 5 guys, 5 Muslims. They have set up their booth, and they're distributing Quran and literature and pamphlets and talking to people about Islam and how beautiful Islam is. And listen, I have been in the ministry business for a very long time. I have done a lot of evangelism myself across the Arab world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. People can preach their faith wherever they want. However, when it comes to Islam, I have a few things that I must raise. Number one, the motivation. When a Christian evangelizes, preaches the gospel, their concern is eternity, salvation. It's not adding more people to Christians. In Islam, it's about dominance, it's about superiority and
Adding
supremacy.
numbers.
So,
Adding
this is
numbers.
number one. Number two, still, people are free to do that. But number two, and this is the question I asked them, actually, I confronted them. I said, you are free to preach your religion here, and nobody's going to say anything. Why do we get killed for preaching Christianity in the Islamic world? So that's number two. You know, I have endangered my life for many times, for many years, because I was trying to proselytize people in the Islamic countries. Why Muslims exploit the freedom in the West and they don't care about giving the same privilege to people of other faiths in their countries? So
Mm-hmm.
this is something that this is a question that must be asked. So this is regarding da'wah. Da'wah in Islam is evangelism, and da'wah is soft jihad. Where jihad is not possible because of, they live now in pluralistic countries, they cannot enforce jihad. So da'wah becomes the alternative. It is the most essential pillar of Islam to add more people to expand Islam, because there's no way to expand Islam without jihad except through da'wah and the of course. Um, and why women? Why they target women? Again, I said the reasons, but Islam objectively is the most systematically oppressive force against women in history. Okay, I want to just share this with you. The Quran permits wife beating. Quran Surah 4, verse 34. It gives women half the legal worth of men in both testimony and inheritance. Imagine if a woman goes to in front of
Repeat
a judge.
real quick, real quick before you continue. What's that
Yeah.
chapter and verse again?
The first one, the wife beating, is 434, and the other verse, I don't have the verse, but I can pull it up.
And that's Quran for
Yeah.
okay.
It's everything in the Quran about women. I will comment with the verse about half the legal worth of men in the comment later.
Copy.
Uh,
Okay.
so, but it's in the Quran. It's like hair testimony worth half a man,
Yeah, you can find it. You can
Mhm.
search that.
and in inheritance
Yeah,
the
I'll
same.
search it.
Yeah.
I'll
The
search it.
same thing.
Gemini. That.
Uh, it allows marital rape and polygamy, but not for women, it's only for men. It enforces guardianship systems where women cannot travel, work, or marry without male permission. And this was enforced in Saudi Arabia until recently. And it is still enforced in Afghanistan and Somalia and Sudan and all the countries where they practice Sharia. And of course, you have the female genital mutilation, and it's not practiced everywhere, but unfortunately, it is an Islamic thing. It's not a cultural thing. And you have honor killing. Now, I want to say something about honor killings.
Please.
It's not cultural, it is Islamic. Now, is there a text? No, but here's the trick. Muhammad said that if a woman goes to hell, she takes with her all the male in her family, the father, the brother, the husband, the son. Why? because she went to hell because she was not conservative enough, she was not obedient enough, because the males in her family lit her.
Oh
So
my
they
God.
were tolerant of her disobedience. So therefore, they are going to hell with her, regardless of their work. Now, convince me that if you have a religious commandment that asking you to observe and supervise and just control your wife's or a woman in your family to control her life. If she goes on a date with someone, what are you gonna do? She's sending you to hell. You have to you have to stop her. So
Jesus
killing
Christ.
her killing her becomes the most reasonable thing to do because you don't want to risk your eternity.
It's a
This
good
is
way to manipulate women
primitive.
too.
This is primitive, disgusting shit. I'm sorry. I felt this way even when I was a more I'll say I was more liberal, okay? Because I'm kind of
Yeah.
going through my own political reawakening, as it were. I despised Islam even when I was more liberal because I knew of how primitively evil the religion was to women. And now this religion is going right is like, come on in, baby, we got you. You like you want stability, you want structure, you out here partying, come on in here, baby, we got you. That disgusts me.
Yeah,
That
they
disgusts
try.
me.
Yeah,
Oh, that disgusts me on a level. Oh my
because
God.
women are more vulnerable than men, so they try to exploit that.
There's another thing to add to that too, Dan. I agree. I think for the most part, that's probably true. They are more vulnerable, maybe a little bit more easy to manipulate. We see that a lot in a lot of different ways, right?
Because of emotions and
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure, and like we see it even with like pimps and stuff, and then doing
Yeah,
that to prostitutes.
sure.
Like, so it's not just religion. But I also say this: it's a very clever way also to get men into the religion, because if you got a really beautiful woman that you love who just converted to Islam, there's a good chance you might convert the man to Islam too. He's like, well, she only get married if we're gonna get married in a mosque or whatever, however Muslims do it, and so you get some converts that way too. So
Listen, people convert to every other religion for different reasons. Like
sure,
Jews become Christians, the Christians become
Jews,
Buddhist,
yeah,
Muslims become Jews. It doesn't matter.
sure.
At the end of the day, people have their own journeys and their own struggles, right? But the problem is all these religions and philosophies are providing something spiritual, something like some kind of philosophy to build your life around. But in Islam, it's all about submission. It's all about expansion. It's all about the rule of Allah. It's all about the ummah. There's no spirituality there. I'm not making this up. I was a Muslim. I tried. I really tried. I used to go to the mosque at 4 a.m. in the morning praying, God, give me light in the latter days. Because Muhammad said, if you go to the mosque in darkness, God will give you light in the latter days. So I would say that. I would recite certain verses to protect myself from Satan. I became OCD because I would repeat them every single hour or 30 minutes. It's crazy. But I realized there is no spirituality there. So people are free to seek um, different school of thoughts. But when it comes to Islam, you are embracing a religion that offering you absolutely nothing when it comes to your soul.
Nothing.
You don't guarantee heaven or eternity. You don't guarantee a relationship with God. Uh, you become part of the ummah, the army of Islam, in order to expand it. And so that's why I tell people, listen, if you want to convert to Islam, do it. If that works for you, be my guest. But just think about even if you're seeking salvation, Islam doesn't offer, even you offer salvation. It doesn't. It's like, what is salvation in Islam? Going to paradise, have 72 virgins, and non-stop sex, and they try in the West, especially for Western consumption, they try to whitewash this narrative and sanitize it by saying it's metaphorical. It's not. In the Quran, it describes the virgins. Even their boobs are described as big, beautiful boobs.
Oh, wait a
Yeah.
second. I might have to.
Okay.
Oh,
And-
wait.
I might have
And
to look into
you
this
will
whole
have-
Islam thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know we're talking
shit.
about some nice Hooters.
So,
Oh,
just
man.
think of a religion that promises you vaginas in the
Oh, man.
afterlife.
That's funny.
That's the kind of religion we're talking about.
It sounds like it maybe can offer you discipline, like maybe better discipline in other religions, but it doesn't offer spiritual personal growth. It seems like
None.
Like you can't really develop yourself any more than constantly being submissive, constantly
Yeah,
being afraid.
but discipline
So-
out of fear is not a real discipline.
That's a pathological.
Go
discipline.
to the grocery store and pick up a cigarette, like you can choose Marlboro. Okay, it's written, this is going to kill you. You don't care.
Mhm.
Nobody cares. We still have millions of people
Mhm.
smoking. Aren't they afraid? They are. But fear, and we know this from the Torah, from the Old Testament. Paul in the New Testament, he said that the law, one of the tasks of the law is to expose us, but it could not create any righteousness. What does that mean? The law is scaring us. You are not obeying God. You're not obeying God, right? So there's condemnation there. But yet it could not create or produce any righteousness, because fear cannot produce anything good. Fear only casts love away.
You can't
If
flourish. Yeah.
if you bring flowers to your wife because you're afraid she's going to leave you, the flowers lose its meaning.
Yes, they do.
Right?
I've been in relationships like that. You are absolutely correct.
It's so Islam, because everything is incentivized by fear, you don't get real righteousness or real discipline.
Not at all. Not at all.
Does that make sense?
That
Because-
makes perfect sense.
that's why people mistake and confuse Islamic discipline with real discipline. It's not discipline. It's fear.
It's
Interesting.
fair. Wow.
You can't gain wisdom
Speaking
that
of-
way.
you
gain
can't.
wisdom that way. If you're
You
living like
can't.
it's like living under a father who's like,
You know why
do
Muslims?
do as I say, or else for your whole life. And you're like, well, how come you always give me all these rules? And he's like, or else, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what can you learn from that after 20, 30, 40, 50 years?
Not a
Like,
goddamn
you
thing.
need some love, you need
Nothing.
some wisdom, you need some virtue, you need some explanation, and you need to learn things on your own too. That's growth. That's spiritual growth. It's part of, I think that's part of why we're on earth, is to explore spiritual growth, understand the world, be eyes of God in a way, actors
Yeah.
of God, agents of God, and help each other, lift each other, engage in love. And that seems like a lot of that's bereft in Islam from how you're describing it.
Real quick, well, let's get into this last thing, because I want to talk about Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah.
This guy seems to be the living embodiment of the Red-Green Alliance we talked about earlier. And yes, there's an element of fear involved in this. I'm gonna talk about him some more a little bit later on, but I want to ask you about him. Like, how much have you been keeping up with Mamdani, and what kind of danger would New York City be in with this kind of guy at the helm? He won the Democrat nomination. Okay, so excuse me.
Yeah.
So he is the Democrat. He's the Democrat nominee for those of you who aren't here in New York. He has not been elected mayor yet of New York City. But he's leading polls. So just for the benefit of our audience, yes, he is the front runner right now to be the next
Unless
mayor.
Cuomo and Eric Adams drop.
One of them's got to drop out. One of them's got to drop. We'll talk about that in a sec. But
yeah, one of them. Sorry.
What exactly do you want to let our listeners know, our audience know? What kind of danger is New York City going to be in under the stewardship of a guy like this? And what should we be more concerned with? His communism
or his
Islamism?
Yeah.
To I guess to abuse that term a little bit, but please.
Listen, when somebody introduced themselves as a Muslim progressive or Muslim communist, it feels like a Muslim Christian. It doesn't work. It's like they're the complete opposite of each other. So you gotta be one or the other. You can't really mix these two together. But anyway, I would say that the danger is tremendous, and I don't want people to think this is fear mongering. I will give you the reasons why this is a tremendous danger if he becomes the mayor. First of all, he openly supports BDS movement, delegitimizes Israel's right to exist. Now, you might think, oh, this has to do with Israel. Why should I care? These are signals of how he frames Islamic jihad as resistance. This is not only anti-Zionism, it is political laundering of jihad. Why would you? It's like many people in the West are standing against Israel, but not out of ideological reasons, but because they are, they're sad about the people in Gaza. But they are not acting out of dogmatic beliefs. This guy, he is different. I believe that his position is informed by his religion, not by images of children being killed in Gaza, regardless of the fact that Hamas is the reason. But anyway, so this is number one. If he gets to be in office, this mindset is not gonna stop at foreign policy. Okay, it's gonna translate into policies that weaken law enforcement, as we talked about this before. Criminalize dissent, promote divisions, create special exemption under the banner of equity. And those who do not share American values are going to be promoted, are going to be giving passes. So a city led by a guy like this is going to support a lot of sanctuary policies, for example. It's going to protect radicals.
Yep.
So I can think of 1,000 reasons why somebody with this mindset is going to be very dangerous to New York City. So how is he going to weaponize fighting hatred, fighting Islamophobia, fighting racism? How are all of these terms are going to be weaponized? What laws are going to be the result of his mindset, his beliefs? So again, I'm not a prophet. I don't know what his mayoral period going to look like. I don't know, but I know it's going to be dangerous to the most important city in the world, that is New York. So New York City it's America's cultural and economic symbol. Putting it under the stewardship of someone who undermines its foundational values would be an act of suicide, I believe.
Mm.
Wow. I've felt this way. I've felt this way for a while. I have seen the things that are coming out about him. It's like I've never seen a guy so devoted to Islam and to communism. Like I said, he is in my opinion the full embodiment of the red-green alliance that took down the Shah in Iran in 1979. Like he gives me.
But what happened to
those
the
kind of
what happened to the communists
they got murked.
after that?
they got unalived and quickly. Because again I forget who it was. I gotta find that video clip, but the dude who says, who's like, yeah, go ahead, go have your fun, do your trans stuff, do gender nonsense. Well, we'll throw you off a building later, but guess what, it'll go do your thing, go and we'll just handle you later. And it's worked. It feels like everything that you've told me, like no joke, it feels almost like trans and LGBTQ IAP was operational preparation of the environment for Islam to come in. Because if you
it is the key deconstruction of the foundations of the society.
Yeah.
So it is. Yeah, it was not intentional. They were doing overcorrection, as I said before. But so they want to eliminate slavery, and then instead of going to the middle, they overdid it, and now we have white people are being slaves in a different way.
Yeah,
It's like they cannot speak, they cannot say anything, they cannot get any jobs in certain companies. DEI policies, you know what I mean. So they push too far.
Yeah.
Same thing with, it's like it's all started as a good thing with good intention, but overdoing it damaged the society, and today we ended up with a vacuum, and Islam is stepping in. So that's how you need to understand it. If that society to survive, we need to go back to the middle. So what is racism? The definition of words is very important to define terminologies in a healthy way. We cannot keep fighting over definitions while we are standing on this end of the spectrum. We have to pull back to the middle in order to have some sanity to stand for this ideological invasion.
We do. My God. Dan, this has been I'm blown away by the amount of knowledge that you've brought to our show this
is my best podcast so far, so I'm so thankful for being
really.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Wow,
thank you, Dan. Wow, Dan.
That makes me feel it's one of the best things I heard so far.
No, this is the best podcast I have done so far and the longest, and I'm glad that I joined you, and thank you for the invitation.
Dan, thank you, Dan. Dude. You have absolutely no idea how much that means to me, man. Thank you, and sir, you are welcome on this show anytime you want. If there's something you want to talk about, we
should get him on before the book.
We'll be honored.
Yes, you said October 7th. If you could, if you could, just real quick, tell our audience again the book and anything else that you might be working on, and where they can follow you. Anything you want to plug, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you so much. The book, I thought the book is important because it is a fresh look into the conflict that is happening in the Middle East, and I believe it is the forefront of a civilizational war, that Israel is representing the free world in this war. So I'm not repeating information that people can find in other books. I don't care about that. People can Google information. I'm doing analysis. I'm helping people to see the connection between Islam, the conflict in the Middle East, and what's happening in the West and the future of the West. And of course, in the book, also I'm commenting on the ideological conflicts in the West and how these different ideologies and movements made the ground fertile for Islam to flourish. And so I believe this book is going to be important. People can subscribe to my Substack. Just go to my page or go to my website, www.project-ex.org. Subscribe to my page, my Substack there, and you will get early access to the book. And you will also get access to weekly articles, podcasts, and different sources. Thank you for giving me the chance to share this, Carter.
You are very welcome, sir, and I greatly appreciate your time. We are, we will. I definitely would love to have you back before when the book comes out, and I will be purchasing a copy when it comes out. So we will stay in touch. Thank you, my friend. I greatly
Thank you
appreciate
so much.
your time.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Dan.
as well,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you. That man is a hero.
Yeah, he's very brave for what he's doing. And I think he's spot on with his analysis. I think too. I think he's very sharp. He's very he's got a good sense of actually what's going on and how things are overlapping, and he's being very fair-minded, I think, as well. Like, I don't think he's going too far. I don't think he's getting too extreme or conspiratorial. I think he's very fair-minded. That's something I think a lot of people need to hear, this podcast with Dan, and definitely need to read his book when it comes out.
If Dan, if you are ever in the New York area, if you're ever in New York City, we gotta hang, man. We gotta hang. Like, there's just no two ways about it. Like, it was humbling having a man with that kind of character on our show. That is a man of that's a man of character I have not seen in a very, very long time. It takes a certain amount of strength. That man, I'm gonna just go ahead and permit me a brief moment, if you will.
Go ahead.
The reason why we started this show, one of the biggest reasons why we started this show, at least is because we wanted to give people for whom their political homes, or even in this case, religious homes that they had known for so long.
For those who strayed.
For those who strayed. For those who either strayed, or for those for whom their homes strayed from them.
They're forced out.
And when we talk about how, some people have said, well, the left, I didn't leave the left left me. That's that's the essence. Yeah, same here. Like, that's the essence of this show. That was the whole entire focus of the show. That man is the living fucking embodiment of what it means to be an apostate. That man is a hero to me, and I praise God that we had him on our show tonight.
Same.
I really do.
He's
really do.
Like, from in a way that's risks your life.
Exactly.
We all, I think almost all apostates, political or otherwise, have certain risks and costs associated with it. I don't think many of us necessarily have that much of a threat of death upon him. I'm sure wherever he is, I'm sure it's very serious in Islam, very violent. They're very strict about their rules. And apostates, I think it's the worst thing you could be. I think is that not right? I think that's the worst thing you could do in Islam is to leave the faith.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe speaking out of turn, but I think it's like the worst thing. It's probably worse than murder.
Today was a massive eye opener for me, about Islam and about like what it is that we are up against. I feel a sense of calm talking to him, because like listening to him, because again, character means everything. This is a man who means everything that he says and says exactly what he means. He is led by God. I sense that in him. This was a calling on his life, because you don't leave that unless you are called out of it. There are just certain things, there are just certain ideologies that you don't just like. There's something that leads you spiritually out of that out of that darkness. And like I said, I am just in awe. Relax. Thank you so much, bro. You feel your brain growing. Hey man, listen, my head big enough. My head's big enough, but golly, man, this has been quite some night. I gotta say this though.
I feel like we got a lot of engagement tonight too, man. A lot of comments.
We did. This has been a fantastic night for that.
Yep.
I want to get into something. Because this picture haunts me. This picture haunts me right here.
Yeah.
You know what this is? This, for those of you who may or may not know who these people are. From the left is Spike Lee, award-winning film director, known for such films as Crooklyn, Do the Right Thing, Miracle on St. Anna, Inside Man. Like, this man has so many films under his belt. Like, whenever you hear a Spike Lee joint, it's probably gonna be good.
Malcolm X, you mentioned Malcolm X.
Malcolm X,
that was a great movie, actually.
Miracle at St. Anna.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many movies that this guy has done. Okay, like that are fantastic.
Yeah.
To the right is Al Sharpton, the president, the head of the National Action Network. He is essentially the race hustler that Jesse Jackson wishes he could be. Well, that is if Jesse Jackson knew where he was at the present. Yeah, Jesse ain't doing so good. Last time I saw him, he was in a wheelchair. But anyways, these two men.
I didn't know that he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he ain't doing so good. He's not doing so good. These two men allegedly are representatives of the black community. All 13.6% of us in the population. But you see this guy right here in the middle? That's Zohran Mamdani. Now, I've talked about Zohran before. I've mentioned certain things about him. I've talked about, you've seen my lunch break videos this week where I discuss his antics. Okay. You know, we talked about his fast and free buses promise. We've talked about him wanting to completely dismantle the police, the police department, and send in social workers to be to violent situations, de-escalation.
He even tried to come after me, Isaiah. He tried to get my vote. He was promising me free drawers. And he knew that's something that's near and dear to my heart.
You're a whole state away, and he's promising votes.
He said free drawers for the tri-state.
Free draws for the tri-state. You see that shit?
Anyway,
Okay.
Sorry to derail you, brother.
This guy, nah, you ain't derail me. But but this guy will literally say and do anything. He will lie and say and just basically whatever you want to hear, even if you want to hear it in an accent that you can relate to. This guy will say it to you. It's like he will literally say whatever you want. And not only will he lie for whatever purpose, okay? This man will lie when he does not have to. This is actually the worst a person can be. Okay? The worst thing that a person can do. You can lie all you want, right? I mean, your people, and when you're found out in your lie, that's one thing. But when you lie, when you don't have to, where the truth would suffice. What do I mean by that? Well, here we go. This right here, I know it's kind of small. When Zoran was trying to get into Columbia University, Zoran claimed an ethnic group of Black non-Hispanic. This boy he claimed to be Black. He lied about his ethnicity to try to get into Columbia University. Now, the New York Times wrote. The New York Times talked about this. They were the ones who reported the story. Zoran Mamdani identified as Asian and African American on a college application. He doesn't consider himself Black, but said the application didn't allow for the complexity of his background. Columbia, like many elite universities, used a race-conscious affirmative action admissions program at the time. Reporting that his race was Black or African American in addition to Asian could have given an advantage to Mr. Mamdani, who was born in Uganda and spent his earliest years there. In an interview on Thursday, Mr. Mamdani, 33 years old, said that he did not consider himself either Black or African American, but rather, quote, an American who was born in Africa. He said his answers on the college application were an attempt to represent his complex background, given the limited choices before him, not to gain an upper hand in the admissions process. He was not accepted at Columbia. So what is that supposed to mean something? But see those long answers, that long bullshit that you can tell that gets these white progressives going. Okay, he passed that shit off on them, but you can't pass that on to us. Now, let me tell you something, Mamdani, Zoran.
You listening, Zoran? Little bitch.
Everybody want to be Black until it's time to be Black.
That's right.
Okay? Everybody want to be Black until it's time to be Black. And right now,
ask Kamala.
Right now, you've got so many people coming to this boy's aid. You've got people like Jumaane Williams, the current public advocate of New York City. In other words, Chief do-nothing ass motherfucker.
Oh, God.
That dude is, you talk about the ultimate commie do-nothing. Like, you want to talk about the living embodiment of everything Karl Marx.
A lot of competition.
Yeah. This dude is now defended Zoran. You had Hakeem Jeffries. We had Hakeem Jeffries earlier.
Goodness.
Totally deflecting. Hakeem Jeffries is the House Minority Leader in more ways than one. Best known now for basically doing his worst Cory Booker impersonation.
Yes.
Cory Booker talked about nothing and nobody for 25 hours, and here go Hakeem Jeffries trying to block the big beautiful bill for 8 hours and 23 minutes. And of course, they applaud these motherfuckers for saying nothing, for saying a bunch of everything. I'm sorry, for talking a bunch but not saying anything. But
to be fair, Isaiah, to be fair, who better than those two complete assholes?
Yo,
To talk for 25, 8 hours at a piece and not say a damn thing.
The voice of a god and not of a man. Okay.
Who better?
Okay. Who better? Hakeem Dead Eyes Jeffries.
Timo Obama's.
They call him Timu Obama, but I'm calling him Dead Eyes. That man don't have a soul in his body.
I know.
But anyways, but I'm getting away from that. See, black folk figured Zoran out a long time ago. That's why in last week's primary, Democrats, like black Democrats, went plus 24 for Andrew Cuomo. Hispanics went plus 20. But the white progressives went plus 5 for Zoran. Now, what does that mean? That means the hood wasn't feeling this dude from the very beginning. But then but now you've got all of the pro-Democrat, all the professional class, everybody, lottie-dottie, every black dude within the Democrat sphere of influence. Now everybody is starting to come to this boy's aid, starting with these two. He pretended to be one of us. He pretended to be black, but y'all are okay with this. Y'all are okay with this. It don't matter to you that he's black. To you, matter of fact, I'll even take it a step further. To these people, you know why it doesn't matter? You know why it doesn't matter that he lied? Because to the communist, to the black the hood rat communist, the only thing that matters is if you politically black. Remember this from Nicole Hannah Jones, the 1619 lady. Look at this bitch.
That was the right question too. What does this mean?
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
There is a difference between. She sounded this real quick. 5 years ago, right before the pandemic started, I went with my DEI ex. I went to a taping of The Daily Show. And she was the guest.
Their bright red hair.
Nicole Hannah, that bright fucking red hair. And she sounded like such a fucking retard. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe, like, listening to this woman's voice, I could not believe that this was this was the woman who had written the 1619 Project. She won a Pulitzer Prize. Won that award on the backs of white men. And here we go. There is a difference between being politically black and being racially black. I am not defending anyone, but we all know this and should stop pretending that we don't. And then here comes the one person, one of many people who are like, what does this mean? And then here she goes, well, if you don't know, it ain't for you.
That's smart.
Bitch.
She doesn't fucking know. That's why she gave that response.
Let me tell you something.
I was just talking about my ass. I don't know what to tell you.
Right, I'm just talking about my ass. I don't know. I don't know.
I'll take that seriously.
It just means whatever I want it to mean, because I'm a communist, and that's all that matters. Whatever I just say whatever I need to say to get power, because that's all that fucking matters. If I see things in power dynamics, it's not gonna matter to whatever I say, because guess what? If you believe it, you'll give me power. If you believe what I say, if I can make you guilty, if I can make you feel something emotionally, you'll give me power. You'll give me money. You'll give me everything I want. I can charm you and make you feel something emotional, and guess what? To the point where I now have all your property. I now have all your rights. And I can give whatever I can give things out based on need and according to everyone's ability. To each according to one's need, from each according to one's ability. The essence of communism. I warned listen, black people in New York City, I need y'all to get this. I need y'all to understand this. The Democrats are done with us. I don't know how many times I got to explain this. And I save these rants for last. I say because I want our guests to have to have everything. We can clip this up later. You can watch me in a YouTube video or something, right? But I want y'all to hear this live and direct. The Democrat Party are done with us. They are finished with us. We can no longer be relied upon to vote Democrat almost unanimously. They put Zoran here because Zoran is politically black. That's why they got these
Politically black.
That's why they got these N-words dancing around for Zoran. That's why they got Jamani Williams out here defending him. That's why they had what's his face? Al Sharpton and Spike Lee meeting with him. Because they're trying to save face. They're trying to herd all of the boomers and the Gen X blacks in New York City to vote for their own demise yet again. Do y'all hear me when I say this? A vote for Zoran is a vote for the destruction of your communities. I don't care if it's Wakefield. I don't care if it's Brownsville. I don't care if it's Jamaica, Queens. This man is coming to destroy New York City. And if he won't do it under communism, he will do it under Islam. He's made this very clear. The tweets, his old posts are out there. And what's amazing to me is that he hasn't erased a single one of them.
He's proud of him.
Do you understand what that means, folks?
He stands by him.
He stands by everything he's saying. So guess what? He's basically saying, yeah, I'm a communist.
He is.
Yeah, I'm a democratic socialist. You vote for me, and this is exactly what you're getting. You're getting some state. Oh, you're getting city-owned grocery stores. It might be one in a neighborhood at first, but guess what? It's a cancer. And once that cancer once it metastasizes and spreads, you'll be standing in line for 3 days for a bag of potatoes. That might even only have one in there. And do you think, and hold on a second, and do you think with the expansion of congestion pricing that's coming, because you know they ain't finished with that, right? With the expansion of congestion pricing, with the expansion of the taxes and fees and everything else related to individual movement, that these communists, like transportation alternatives, Riders Alliance, all these other ones, Zoran is down with all of that. So not only are you going to get not only are you going to get status quo with Zoran as far as that goes, he's going to expand it. Do you don't think them shortages are going to get worse? When these truckers decide, I'm kind of overpaying paying $30-some to go to cross into the Lincoln Tunnel, and then they get hit for $6 when they get on the Manhattan side. You don't think that's gonna happen, folks? This is real shit that's taking place. And these black folk, and let me tell you something, these motherfuckers like Joy Reid, who I used to, I don't know who this Joy Reid is. Joy Reid was one of my fun fact, Joy Reid was one of my very first followers on Twitter 16 years ago. The Joy Reids of the world, the Ellie Mistles of the world, they will lead you to your own destruction. Y'all better stay away from this Zoran dude. Y'all better stay away from him. And for that matter, stay away from Eric Adams. For that matter, stay away from Eric Adams. I'm not even playing, because shout to John McCary of the Finest Unfiltered podcast. McCary has done a great job of pointing out how Zoran and Eric Adams, same guy. They're the same guy. Same exact talking points, same exact policy positions, same everything. Almost verbatim. Voting for Eric, I'm telling y'all right now, because I know a lot of people online, particularly conservatives, have all decided, well, since Eric Adams has sided, basically he left the Democrats, and now he's running as an independent, and he's doing he's aligning himself with Trump. He's only aligning with Trump to stay out of jail. Let's be very clear about this. He's only doing this to stay out of jail. And the worst part about it is, to put him back in, that man has absolutely nothing different to offer. He wants to be the mayor of nightlife. Let him be the mayor of nightlife. He is how did Karine say? How my wife say? She said he wants to be the mayor of the nightclub.
Well,
he wants to be a party promoter, and being mayor is getting in his way. It's time to relieve him of his mayoral duties so that he can be a fucking club rat all day long. I want to help this brother. Go ahead, Nick. What are your thoughts?
Oh man. I'll just say, for one thing, you said that the Democrats are done with black people. I think that's right. And I think that they're also done with Latino people. The only Latino people they're interested in are the ones that aren't here legally. They didn't really really campaigned for Latino people during Kamala's campaign, and I feel like a lot of different campaigns in the past recently. They because I think they realized a lot of Latino people are kind of conservative about a lot of things. So they just pretend like we didn't exist, and only seem to care about Latinos that are illegal. So I mean, it just goes like seems like Democrats only care about illegal immigrants and criminals.
Yeah,
and I don't know, leftists maybe, white gentrifiers. I guess kind of.
Well, again, black. I'm gonna just say it like I normally say it. They done with us niggas. They done with us. They're tired of niggas are expensive. Niggas are messing up Carnival cruise ships. Okay? Niggas can't be relied on to vote Democrat anymore. Because I tell you this, I've never seen as many black people on social media adopting like going full MAGA.
Yeah, me too.
There's so many I have never seen. This isn't just guys. They're just guys like Jason Whitlock.
No. Street level.
No, we talking street dudes.
Street level
like
TikTok.
Antoine Tucker, shout to Montaga, a Gotham City god. Like dude, he's here in the Bronx. Like, I have never seen so many black conservatives. Shout to Xavier Rousseau. What's the other dude's name? So many black conservatives out here who are just coming out.
JV the Great.
JV the Great.
We had on before.
Exactly. I want to Wolf Hat. Yeah, we like serious, like Black folk are breaking from the plantation. We're not just talking about Candace Owens and Larry Elder, who, you know, people like that. We talking about brand new street people.
Yeah. And a bunch of people who are no
And we
names. Like
can't
they don't even have that big followership. I see them on
Exactly.
TikTok popping up, like people coming out of their freaking jobs, like, you know, their working class jobs, probably coming out of the high school, community college, or whatever, just dropping fire freaking MAGA rants and conservative rants. And I'm like, all right, shit.
Yeah, black folk. Listen, man,
Yeah.
black folk who doing like I did.
Same with the Lexit guys too, by the way.
Lexit, yeah. Oh my God, I love those. I love them.
Dropping
I
some
love
fire
Lexit
too. Yeah, we gotta get them on one of these days.
I would love to have Ladies of Liberty, the Lexit people, like shout to them. I would love to have them on. What I'm saying is, black folk cannot. Again, they brought the illegals in to black neighborhoods specifically to replace us, to replace our vote, to dilute our vote, and then to ultimately replace that vote. I've talked about it before, how black folk in Chicago already figured it out. Black folk in Philadelphia are figuring it out right now because their hood rat communist mayor basically told them to keep told people to keep their trash in the house because their sanitation department, the sanitation workers went on strike. Black folk are finding out the hard way that the Democrats, black folk have voted Democrat for nearly 7 decades. Unquestioned. And now that's out. Who? Oh, okay. Breaking news from my wife to be. She said LL Cool J canceled his concert appearance in Philly in solidarity with the strike. Yeah. I mean, but he looked like a fucking, germaphobe anyway, clean as he is.
Shout out to Uncle L, man. I'm glad he's glad he's still touring. He's got some jams.
Well, I mean, he's also, what was he, NCIS? Like, he was Mr. NCIS for a while in the house.
Acting.
Honestly, LL was one of them dudes who, one of those early on rappers who got in, who music was just the start for him.
Yeah.
Like, he really wanted to be an actor.
Like Ice-T.
Yeah, like Ice-T. Ice-T, you know what? Ice-T, if I'm gonna go off on this tangent, Ice-T been playing the same motherfucking character since New Jack City. He been playing the same motherfucking character since New Jack City.
Like an Ice-T, man.
Same cop. He wrote Cop Killer, and the Bush administration got in that ass, and now all of a sudden, just he been the same like
for the last 30 years.
Later, Pookie. Like, I want to shoot you so bad, my dick hard. Like what the fuck? His character, Ice-T's character on Law and Order SVU. I forget his name. I forget the name of his character. But his character on Law and Order is the same fucking cop from New Jack City. Richard Belzer, rest in peace to Richard Belzer. Richard Belzer did the same thing. Yeah. Richard Belzer used to be the character John Munch. John Munch was originally a character on the old NBC classic Homicide: Life on the Street. Okay. And that was set in Baltimore. He took that character, same character, took it to Law and Order SVU, right? And it was like, I just got transferred. You was working in Baltimore. You was working for Baltimore City Police Department, and now you took a job at NYPD. I love the interchangeability. Rest in peace to John Munch. I'm sorry, to Richard Belzer. Anyways, black folk need to stay the fuck away from Zoran.
Let's bring it back, yeah.
We need to stay the fuck away from. We need to stay the fuck away from Zoran, and we need to stay the fuck away from Eric Adams, because what's happened. Because what that is right there is a false. It is a false choice. It's a false choice. The one that everybody, and I'm being dead serious right now, the one that everybody's telling you, oh, you ain't got a chance, fuck them, you don't, that's Curtis Sliwa right now. You better vote for him. Curtis is my pick. To date, Curtis, we had Curtis on our show. We spoke with Curtis directly.
Yep.
And I'll link to that. That was episode 14.
Yep. Look it up. YouTube, Rumble, look it up. X.
We had Curtis Sliwa. We talked to him. He was right in front of us.
Not even the Gambinos could take him out, man.
Not even the Gambinos could take this man out.
Forget about it.
That man and Jim Walden, by the way, who is also who's close with Curtis Sliwa. He wouldn't be a bad choice either. But the fact of the matter is, I'm right now, unless I am convinced otherwise, Curtis Sliwa represents that third choice. Get out of this false dichotomy. You do not, if you picking Zoran is picking Eric Adams. Picking Eric Adams is picking Zoran. Eric Adams did not want to do Eric Adams left the party and did not want to get into a primary. Everybody needs to ask themselves why. Why did Eric Adams avoid getting into a Democrat primary, besides the fact that he was essentially purged from the party by the communists? He was basically, again,
because he was at every other party.
Exactly. He was at every yeah, he sure was. Yeah, black people, I love you, but I hate our bullshit. And that bullshit right now is voting for Zoran. Stay the fuck away from him. Anyways, final thing before we go. I've got people to thank. As you know, we've been I'm getting married this month, actually. It's been a crazy few days, and we are now in the home stretch of everything. Right now, we are currently at just under $600 away from like our first automated goal. Again, we're grateful for everything that people have done for us with this wedding fund. We weren't going to do it initially, but people have been kind and generous and really, really nice to us. And they've given, we've been blessed with money. We've been blessed with things off of our gift registry on Amazon. I'm gonna share both of them in the descriptions here. Well, in the comment thread. But yeah, we're about we're about just under $600 away from our first automated goal. We were gifted several things this week. I want to thank Wei In Chen, Justin G. I want to thank a coworker of mine, Tawana. I love you, baby. Tawana, I love you. You have been in my corner for many, many years. I thank you, and I appreciate you more than you could ever realize. I hope to see you in person soon. I hope you come to where I'm working at so I can give you a hug and a kiss. I love you, baby. Thank you so much. Diane N. Kelly. And Tawana got us two things. And I want to thank y'all for doing these things for us. Thank you for being so generous and kind. You can still there are still things on the list. There are still you can donate however much you want if you feel so inclined. There's no pressure here. I do not want to neglect our show here. You can also support our show, buymeacoffee.com/apostate radio. this will be the Nostra Chavez underwear fund.
Yeah. I actually got some new drawers I just put on there in the registry of the Apostate Radio Buy Me a Coffee. So,
Oh my God.
a good deal. It's an Amazon Day deal. So.
Yeah, don't worry. This is like after we won't be hearing about this afterwards, but that's our show tonight. Thank you for joining us. We hope that you've had fun. We hope that it's been entertaining. We hope that it's been enlightening, because it sure has been for me.
Yeah.
It sure has been for me. But besides my mom and pops love this black white. What are you talking about? I don't know. Relax, you crazy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, he says no, thank you. Next week, we're having a very special guest on. Another candidate for New York City office. The Republican candidate for Manhattan District Attorney. My good friend Maud Marin will be on the show. Yes. You wanted to that is a feisty lady. You want to talk about somebody who's seen like the ugly side of the gender cult.
Ooh, that's good.
That's her. That's her. Yeah, Maud has seen some shit, bro. I can't wait to talk to her about that and to talk about her campaign to oust Captain Fat Fuck. I mean, who is that? Alvin Bragg from office. But that is our show tonight. Thank you so much once again. We appreciate you joining us. Shout to my host, my dog Nos. I love you, brother. Thank you again.
Love you too, brother.
For being by my side, man. I appreciate you. Apostate Radio 22 is now official. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
Follow us at Isaiah L. Carter, at Isaiah L. Carter.
Yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, you can follow us individually, Isaiah L. Carter, at Nostra Chavez, and of course our show page, Apostate Radio NY. Right. Thank you so much. No, we're not doing Twinkies.
I'm gonna show you Twinkies.
I don't want no Twinkies. We love you too.
Love you too, brother. Love you. Love the silliness, man. Keep it coming.
Thanks so much, guys. Tell your friends. Tell your friends about the show. Tell your pass this on. We
love the sharing. Share it, guys.
Real quick. Last thing before we go. Last thing before we go. This show had the most the most interaction. And one of my boys just gave me a really bad piece of news. USA taking L's today.
We didn't lose today.
No, don't tell me. Don't tell me we lost to Mexico. Don't tell me we lost to Mexico.
Did we? I had a feeling we would.
Oh, no. Then again, bruh, there was a
we did have we kind of had a B team though, right? Like that's just to keep things in perspective.
I don't know. Somewhat. Oh, what I do know is while we were
sick at least.
Fuck him. While Danny was on the show though, I was looking for something that I wanted to share. I saw the most egregious fucking handball that Mexico, like El Tri had. Like he basically, this fucking guy palmed the ball in the 18.
That's
he
against the rules.
the ball in the 18 to steady himself, I guess. No call. The refs didn't call it.
Another illegal Mexican, man.
Disgusting. You know what? But that's okay, though. That's okay. That's all right. Anyways, that's our show. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks to Dan Burmawi, by the way. Again.
Yes. Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Danny.
Anytime you want to come back, brother. Thank you.
Have you on soon, man. Have you on in
all right.
October. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody.